matchday sounds we are all missing. But there are others we don't have to. Is Carlsberg Pilsner the best beer to enjoy while watching the match at home? Probably. Carlsberg Pilsner, probably the best beer in the world. Enjoy Carlsberg sensibly. Visit drinkaware.ie.
This is not the time for business as usual. It's time for effort and imagination. It's time to use technology to start your online plans. It's time to work from home to stay in touch. It's time to look to the further Erskog Kayla. Ireland is working online with help from Black Knight and .ie, because now we need better than business as usual. Call Black Knight on 059 918 3027 or visit blackknight.ie. Create the Premier League atmosphere at home with Harvey Norman, the home of the big screen. Feel like you're on the pitch with our stunning range of 4K smart LED and OLED TVs from LG, starting from just $449. Plus, hear every kick, save, tackle, decision with LG's best-in-class soundbars. Get TV ready for all the big games with Harvey Norman. Shop online today or safely in our spacious stores. Harvey Norman, home of the big screen.
As Ireland's homegrown insurer, FPD knows it's empowering when someone has your back. So switch your van insurance to us and get up to 75% no-claim discount. Visit fpd.ie to request a quote. FPD Insurance. Support. It's what we do. Terms, conditions and underwriting criteria apply. 75% no-claims discount is based on proof of 5 years no-claims discount and available to new commercial motor customers only. FPD Insurance Group Limited, trading as FPD Insurance, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland. Commercial motor insurance is underwritten by FPD Insurance plc.
123inc.ie have your office needs covered. So whether you're an accountant, butcher, carpenter, dentist, electrician, florist, graphic designer, hairdresser, journalist, lecturer, musician, optician, retailer, teacher, solicitor, web designer, or yoga instructor, we've got what you need. And we're cheaper than your current supplier. 123inc.ie. For home, for office, for less.
Talk Sport. All the big goals and big moments from the world's biggest football league.
They get a second. Here they can! Mason Greenwood with a wonderful turn past the corner. Jamie Vardy wins the game for Leicester.
Bringing you the best of the Premier League all year round.
No! It's a cracker from Kane to almost break the crossbar. Leeds United, who have huffed and puffed all game long, have finally blown the Everton defence down. Thumping head up. And there is goal number 5 for Manchester City, and it's a hat-trick for Riyad Mahrez.
Premier League Live with Talk Sport.
You're listening to Talk Sport's coverage of Newcastle United against West Bromwich Albion from St James's Park. I'm your host, Russell Hargreaves, and alongside me is the former QPR, West Ham and Toronto FC winger Hogan Ephraim, and this is Premier League Live. Now, it's been a fortnight of COVID crises for the Toon, who finally returned to action after being forced to postpone their previous game at Aston Villa due to a significant coronavirus outbreak at the club's training base. West Brom's crisis has been very much on the field meanwhile, just one win all-league season, the most goals conceded in the league, and just 3 goals scored in their last 8 games. Unsurprisingly, it's seen the pressure very much remount on their beleaguered boss Slaven Bilic, and for once his Newcastle counterpart Steve Bruce not the most under-pressure manager heading into a Premier League fixture. Believe you me, that is a rarity up in the northeast. Hogan is alongside me. Nice to be back with you, mate. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. Looking forward to this game. Big game for both teams. I think Steve Bruce would have been a bit disappointed that last week's game had to get called off on the back of winning 2-0 away at Crystal Palace, which was a fantastic result. The 2 strikers scored, so hopefully they can keep that momentum going, even though last week's game did get called off. But it's a huge game for West Brom too. West Brom, they've been struggling. They've got finding goals hard to come by. Wins, obviously, they're just a myth at the minute to West Brom. So it's a massive game for Slaven Bilic. I'm not sure he can afford to lose today.
So 1-1 at the point that Pereira was sent off. The Baggies see it through to 1-1 at half-time, and then Crystal Palace just absolutely rip them apart in the second half with 4 goals. West Brom defensively all over the shop. Massive concern, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a huge concern. They look a bit one-paced at the back. I think teams can get at them, and they don't carry a major threat going forward. Players like Pereira and Diangana, they've shown in little flashes this season where they have great individual ability, but they haven't really been troubling teams. I think West Brom are best off when they're just camped in and trying to be hard to break down, but I'm not sure this is a game where they can go and do that at Newcastle. This is a game where they have to go and look for the 3 points.
Wouldn't it be nice if either Pereira or Diangana were starting? Neither is. Let's go to the team news. We'll go to Newcastle first of all. I mentioned in the opener the COVID crisis, and it really is pretty brutal, isn't it? 5 going down with it one day, then 4, then a further 5. That's what Steve Bruce revealed at his media conference back on Friday. A significant number of the squad still at home self-isolating. Various others who are available are still fatigued, and team members of staff also really poorly. So major concerns, but bearing in mind all of that, only 3 changes to that 2-0 victory against Palace at the end of November before the Villa game had to be called off. Those changes see Isaac Hayden come back into midfield. Emil Kraft is in at the back as well. Manquillo and Fernandes dropping out of the squad completely, we presume with COVID-19, and Jeff Hendrick we presume is ailing as well because he drops down to the bench. So the team with Matt Ritchie, I should say, coming in as well is Caldalo in goal. We think Matt Ritchie will play at left back with Jamal Lewis at right back, Kieran Clark and Emil Kraft as the centre halves, the midfield 3, and skipper John Joe Shelvey, the aforementioned Hayden and Sean Longstaff, and up front the trio of Callum Wilson, the club's top scorer by a distance, Joelinton, who's starting to fire a little bit of late, and Miguel Almiron on the other side of the attacking trio. 4-3-3 formation. On the bench alongside Hendrick, Darryl Langley, the young sod keeper, Matty Longstaff, Andy Carroll, Dwight Gale, DeAndre Yedlin, the American, and Jacob Murphy. Your thoughts on that, please, Hogan?
Yeah, I think he would have wanted to keep the team very much similar to what they played away at Crystal Palace. Obviously, we don't know which players have been struggling with the virus, and if it is any of the players in the starting lineup, it'll be interesting to see which effect it's had on them.
Yeah, how long they can last.
Yeah, because as we've seen earlier this season, Paul Pogba was saying when he had it, he came back and he just felt completely out of breath. So hopefully everyone involved today is feeling fine and feeling fresh and fit, and they can give it their all.
Okay, in terms of West Brom, 3 changes from that 5-1 home defeat at the hands of Crystal Palace last weekend. We expected possibly even more alterations from a very angry and very much under fire Slaven Bilic, as our co-commentator there just alluded to. So Sam Johnson is in goal. The changes are Callum Robinson, Philippe Kravinovic and Dara O'Shea coming in for Grady Diangana, who drops to the bench. There is no Matthias Pereira, who's suspended after his red card, or Kyle Bartley, who drops out of the squad entirely. Back 4 is young Irishman Dara O'Shea, with Branislav Ivanovic the skipper, Semi Ajayi and Darnell Furlong, Conor Gallagher and Romain Sawyers, the 2 sitting in front of them, with 3 behind the front man Matty Phipps, Philip Kravinovic and the aforementioned Callum Robinson, with Carlin Grant up front. The rest of the bench, in addition to Diangana, Button, Gibbs, Livermore, Grzycki, Austin and Kipre. Your thoughts on that, please?
I'm surprised there's not a few more changes. After last week's performance, none of the players could have expected to start this game, so they've got a decent looking bench. There's some experience on that bench. There's England internationals on the bench, Diangana, but they really need to put in a real performance today, West Brom. They know their manager's under massive pressure. I like Carlin Grant up front. I think he's a handful. He presses the opposition, he makes runs in behind, and they're going to have to try and find him. Romain Sawyers can control games at any level. He is really a great technician on the ball, so they're going to have to find ways to try and get at Newcastle, and I think West Brom are going to have to be aggressive and be on the front foot, because for many games this season they won't be able to do that, but they're in a position now where going away to Newcastle is a must-win in my eyes.
Okay, we'll delve deeper into the pressure on boss Slaven Bilic in a few moments. Simon will look ahead to 2 more big games after us on another 4-day commentary bonanza here on Premier League Live. We'll reflect on a fairly epic finale to the lunchtime game as well. All of that and much more to come right here on Premier League Live.
The Premier League Live.
Oh, what a goal!
With TalkSport.
Demanding a high performance from your team. You should be demanding the same from your tyres. The Irish Tyre Industry Association is urging motorists to stay safe this winter and check the condition of your tyres. You could even be liable for a fine and 2 penalty points if found driving with tyres below the legal tread depth limit of 1.6 millimetres. ITIA expert technicians will carry out a free tyre safety check to ensure your tyres are safe and legal. Visit itia.ie to find your local expert.
As Ireland's homegrown insurer, FPD knows it's empowering when someone has your back. So switch your van insurance to us and get up to 75% no-claim discount. Visit fpd.ie to request a quote. FPD Insurance. Support. It's what we do. Terms, conditions and underwriting criteria apply. 75% no-claims discount is based on proof of 5 years no-claims discount and available to new commercial motor customers only. FPD Insurance Group Limited, trading as FPD Insurance, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland. Commercial motor insurance is underwritten by FPD Insurance plc.
What will you really gain from using anabolic steroids? Using illegal anabolic steroids can lead to nasty and serious side effects, both physical and psychological. Heart failure, infertility, hair loss, acne, mood swings, increased aggression. Don't lose out to steroid gains. Know the risks. Visit zerogains.ie. A message from the Health Products Regulatory Authority.
Get ready and hold on tight, because the Premier League is here! Which teams will stay on track? And who'll go off the rail? Get the Irish Sun for top transfer news, exclusive star interviews and opinions from the biggest names in football. Plus expert analysis of every action-packed match in our fantastic goals pull-out each weekend. Stay up to speed, because you never know what the Premier League is going to throw up. Pick up the Irish Sun today.
Introducing Guardson Sport. Protect your sporting equipment from COVID-19 for up to 14 days with Guardson Sport disinfectant treatment. Ideal in team sport settings with the sharing of balls, rackets, gloves, helmets, and all other sporting equipment. Guardson Sport kills COVID-19 on impact, keeping surfaces free from COVID-19 and other viruses and bacteria for up to 14 days by creating a protective polymer layer on application. For more information on Guardson Sport and other quality assured, certified and approved PPE, visit yourcovidprotection.com.
At Paddy Power, we know competition for the remote control can be fierce at the weekends. So in order to give the non-football loving occupants of your house something to do, here are some of our top suggestions. Go for a walk. Walk the dog. Go cycling. Cycle the dog. Recycle the dog. Just go! All very good options, we say. And that's not the only one. If one leg of your 4+ fold ACCA lets you down, get a free bet on all football leagues and markets. Paddy Power. Max free bet €10. Min odds 1 to 5 on each leg. Online exclusive. Exclude shop bets. T's and C's apply. 18+. Need help? Visit gamblingcare.ie.
The Premier League Live.
Here's the shot away! Go!
With TalkSport.
You're listening to TalkSport's coverage of Newcastle United against West Bromwich Albion from St James's Park. I'm your host, Russell Hargreaves, and alongside me is the former QPR, West Ham and Toronto FC winger Hogan Ephraim. And this is Premier League Live. Hogan, the players are out on this magnificent playing surface in front of us, just going through their final pre-match preparations. And such a big stadium as this, and such an iconic one, these thousands and thousands of grey seats around us, just makes you really hope that we can get some fans and more fans back in as soon as possible, doesn't it?
Yeah, most definitely. I know a lot of the clubs have only had 2,000 come back so far, but it's nice to even just see a few fans back. And once the stadiums are all full again, especially St James's Park, one of the best stadiums and best atmospheres in the Premier League, it'll be a pleasure to see.
Absolutely, and of course this is a Tier 3 area, so no fans at the moment. If you're in Tier 1 or 2, 4 or 2,000 are allowed. That's where we stand, but fingers crossed with vaccines to come and at some point easing of the rules, we do hope to see more and more fans back in the Premier League. Until then, it's an absolute pleasure for us to bring you every sight, every smell, every kick, every goal, every bit of drama around the world, and we truly value that opportunity right here at Premier League Live. So Newcastle West Brom kicking off in about 14 minutes time. We'll go back to the two bosses in a few minutes, but Hogan, let's just take the opportunity to chat through some of the other big stories. First of all, your thoughts on a late win for Aston Villa at Wolves in the Midlands derby?
Very good win for Aston Villa. Wolves, they're going to find it hard without Raul Jimenez, one of the best strikers in the world in my opinion. As a number 9, he's fantastic and brings a lot to Wolves, and Fabio Silva has fantastic promise, but as an 18-year-old kid there's a lot riding on his shoulders to lead the line for Wolves. But yeah, Villa did well, another good away win, and their season keeps bubbling along nicely, so fair play to them.
Okay, well let's get a few bits of meat on the bones at this festive time of year then from our commentator John Anderson.
Wolverhampton Wanderers 0, Aston Villa 1. A close, hard-fought derby which finished 10-aside was won by Villa with a stoppage-time penalty after Nelson Semedo fouled John McGinn, and substitute Anwar El Ghazi kept his cool to finish emphatically. An extraordinary finale saw Villa midfielder Douglas Luiz sent off for a second yellow card before the penalty, while Wolves' Joao Moutinho suffered the same fate just after it. The previous 85 minutes had seen Emi Martinez, the busier keeper, preventing Leander Dendoncker twice and Daniel Podence from putting Wolves ahead, while teenager Fabio Silva hit a post for the home side. So Wolves will feel they were unlucky, while Villa are feeling on top of the world after a late derby day smash and grab. Wolves 0, Aston Villa 1.
John, thank you very much indeed. That was commentary 1. Ours, Newcastle West Brom, is commentary 2 today, and 2 more big ones to bring you later. 5:30 UK time. Tom Rennie and Kit Simons will guide you through the Manchester derby, United versus City. And let's hear a little bit from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. He thinks, the United boss, that he still is the person to bring success to United, despite, of course, crashing out of the Champions League in midweek.
Well, there's always pressure on you when you manage Man United, so that's something that I had to think about when I accepted the role. Do I have what it takes to be in such a situation? Can you handle setbacks? Can you handle success? And I think I can. I think I can in a good way. I've got a great staff around me, fantastic staff that I use as sparring partners, discussions, and even the conversation with the club. It goes on all the time. So it's a continuous open dialogue. When you come to work the next day, or if you have a day off, you see the players and the quality you have. You want to work with them.
Well, that's Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Hogan, yes, Europe was a massive setback in the week, but let's be fair, their league form of late particularly has been quite good, hasn't it? And I know City have been talking very tough about really trying to capitalise on their heartbreak across the road in midweek, haven't they?
Yeah, midweek would have been disappointing, but I think everyone knew at the start when the group got drawn, it was a very tough group. They did well to take it to the last game against two of the top teams in Europe last season, and probably will be this season. But it was definitely disappointing how it ended with the last 2 games. It was in their hands. But there's been a lot of unfair criticism, I believe, on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. He's handled it with a lot of dignity. I think he's done very well, but that's the pressure what comes at a club like Manchester United. So I'm sure Manchester City will want to have an early start, knowing how bad United have started games recently. So it'll be an interesting one to see.
It most certainly will. Then our game at 8 p.m. UK is Everton versus Chelsea. That's with Ian Williams and Dean Hammond. Of course, Carlo Ancelotti, in charge of the Toffees, is a former pretty successful Chelsea manager. Current Blues boss Frank Lampard saying that Ancelotti is among the best bosses that he has played for.
You can be influenced by people, and I was heavily influenced by him as a player and as a man at the time. He's right at the top when I speak about the managers that I work with. For everything about him, his huge success he's had in his career at various clubs, and one-to-one I found him a great coach, a great man, and as I say, he influenced me, and I very much look forward at all times to seeing him and speaking to him.
That's Frank Lampard. Your thoughts on this one and this managerial tussle?
It's going to be a tough one, but I fancy Frank Lampard to get it done. Everton are capable of causing massive problems with the players they've got, but they've also got a couple of injuries, and I think James Rodriguez misses the game too, so that could be a big blow for them. Chelsea are going along very nicely, and they're probably my favourites at the minute to keep it going. With the strength and depth that they have, they can change the team every 3 days, which is going to be needed, and they're a major threat this season.
Okay, so that's where we stand the rest of the day. Let's refocus back on our game. The players have now gone back beneath the tunnel. They'll be re-emerging in just a few moments ahead of our commentary featured showdown. West Brom's trip to Newcastle. Let's hear from the 2 managers, Slaven Bilic of the Baggies on the back of Newcastle, Steve Bruce.
We're in a better position than we were last Monday. For example, last Monday, we were all scratching our heads and thinking, but thankfully since Monday, we've had all negative tests twice, so we've put all the protocols in place, and we've got a couple of the injured players back as well, so that helps the numbers. But unfortunately, we're going to be missing quite a few.
On the pitch, I'm expecting very solid team, very compact team with a lot of Premier League experience, but also with a lot of quality in the middle of a park, with a lot of quality and pace up front. And we know the players, Now the question is who is going to play, who of them will be available, who not. But as I said, very solid team with game changers up front, that can hurt you on a counter-attack, that can hurt you from nothing, that can hurt you on individual class, and so very, very good team.
We are back, and we are trying to focus on West Brom, and it's been good to train for the last couple of days in particular. So, the training ground, as we all know, is reopened, so we've been able to get and focus on the game. And you're right, though, Reza, it's been very, very, very difficult, of course, but we've done everything we possibly can to protect the players and the staff, which is the most important thing of this. It's been very, very difficult, as you can imagine.
I wouldn't say worry, but I would say that is the part of the game where we basically have to improve, because we are attacking with numbers. At the moment, our guys who are playing, it's down to the whole team, of course, but we are pushing the team to give support to them, to the players who play in those areas in the final third. They need help, they need support, but they got to do better. And they are the ones basically who have to convert these chances that the other guys are creating together with them.
Slaven Bilic, that's the West Brom boss, and before that Newcastle's Steve Bruce. And I guess one of the big questions, Hogan, would this be, or could this be, Bilic's last game in charge?
I believe so. I think if they lost today, especially if it was by more than one goal, then he could be in big, big trouble. I think his hands have been slightly tied behind his back. They came up, and we know finances are tough with what's going on in the world at the moment, but they didn't look like a team who invested to stay up. So it has been tough for him, but he needs his players to dig out a result for him today. Otherwise, I believe he most probably will be gone.
During the commentary again, we'll go into a bit more detail on where exactly West Brom stand, with fallouts between the board, the transfer committee, the manager, and you name it. And from Newcastle's point of view, yes, there's been the COVID outbreak. Yes, there have been some bumps in the road, but largely this season's a bit sketchy, and you'd see Newcastle looking very much up rather than down. At TalkSport Live, by the way, keep your tweets coming in. We love to hear from you. Dave Marks has tweeted in thinking that Newcastle will take this by 2-1. Your thought on that, and where you're listening from, let us know. On Premier League Live.
The Premier League Live.
Here's the shot away! Goal!
With TalkSport.
Demanding a high performance from your team. You should be demanding the same from your tires. The Irish Tyre Industry Association is urging motorists to stay safe this winter and check the condition of your tires. You could even be liable for a fine and 2 penalty points if found driving with tires below the legal tread depth limit of 1.6 millimeters. ITIA expert technicians will carry out a free tire safety check to ensure your tires are safe and legal. Visit itia.ie to find your local expert.
As Ireland's homegrown insurer, FPD knows it's empowering when someone has your back. So switch your van insurance to us and get up to 75% no-claim discount. Visit fpd.ie to request a quote. FPD Insurance. Support. It's what we do. Terms, conditions and underwriting criteria apply. 75% no-claims discount is based on proof of 5 years no-claims discount and available to new commercial motor customers only. FPD Insurance Group Limited, trading as FPD Insurance, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland. Commercial motor insurance is underwritten by FPD Insurance plc.
This is not the time for business as usual. It's time for effort and imagination. It's time to use technology to start your online plans. It's time to work from home to stay in touch. It's time to look to each other. Erscoa Kayla. Ireland is working online with help from Black Knight and .ie, because now we need better than business as usual. Call Black Knight on 059 918 3027 or visit blackknight.ie.
Certainty. With Volkswagen commercial vehicles, it's included as standard. Quality, performance, reliability. And now with purchase contributions of up to €3,500 and service plans from $999. For vans and offers you can rely on, always. Contact your local Volkswagen commercial vehicles dealer or visit volkswagenvans.ie. T's and C's apply.
There's certain matchday sounds we are all missing. But there are others we don't have to. Is Carlsberg Pilsner the best beer to enjoy while watching the match at home? Probably. Carlsberg Pilsner, probably the best beer in the world. Enjoy Carlsberg sensibly. Visit drinkaware.ie.
This Christmas, get all the non-stop Premier League action with the Now TV, Sky Sports or Sports Extra pack. games this December with the biggest names in the league.
Gets it from Fernandez.
Stream every game or only pay for the ones you want. Your sport on your terms with Now TV. 18 plus ROI only. Month passes sold separately and auto renew. Minimum speed 2.5 megabits per second. Terms apply.
The Premier League Live.
Oh, what a goal!
With TalkSport.
You're listening to TalkSport's coverage of Newcastle United against West Bromwich Albion from St James's Park. I'm your host, Russell Hargreaves, and alongside me is the former QPR, West Ham and Toronto FC winger Hogan Ephraim. And this is Premier League Live. A familiar tune behind us blaring out on the St James's Park tannoy as the two teams make their way into this magnificent bowl. This arena, of course, though, as we still mention, is devoid of those passionate, notoriously slow fans. Still hopefully will dish up an entertaining and all-important game today between a COVID-hit Magpies side and the Baggies team, who are struggling both in terms of scoring, shipping goals, and to the second bottom of the table. Well, Newcastle, first of all, making 3 changes to the team that won at Crystal Palace a couple of weeks ago. Their Aston Villa game pulled off due to that COVID outbreak 1 week ago. The changes see Matt Ritchie, Isaac Hayden, and Emil Kraft come into the starting 11. Jeff Hendrick drops to the bench, and there is no Federico Fernandez or Javier Manquillo, so it's Carl Darlow in goal, possibly a back 4 of Jamal Lewis, Matt Ritchie, Callum Clark and Emil Kraft, with Isaac Hayden, John J. Shelby the skipper and Sean Longstaff in midfield, with Joelinton, Callum Wilson and Miguel Almiron up front. Or it could be Hayden, normally a midfielder, and he can play at centre half. Will he go into a back 3 with Lewis and Ritchie playing as wing backs? We'll wait and see. Anyway, alongside Hendrick, Dwight Gale, Andy Carroll, Matty Longstaff, Daniel Langley, DeAndre Yedlin and Jacob Murphy. That's the rest of the Newcastle bench. West Brom, meanwhile, making 3 changes to the side that lost 5-1 to Crystal Palace last time out. Those changes see Callum Robinson, Filip Kravinovic and Dara O'Shea, the young Irishman, come into the starting 11. Grady Diangana drops down to the bench, and there's no Carl Bartley or Matthias Pereira, who's suspended after being sent off against Palace. And just that silence and whistle there as the players take a knee and pay their customary homage to the Black Lives Matter movement. So Sam Johnston in goal, Darnell Furlong, Semi Ajayi, Branislav Ivanovic and O'Shea at the back. Remain Sawyers and Conor Gallagher sitting in front of them. Matty Phillips, Kravinovic and Callum Robinson all behind Cullen Grant up front. Grady Diangana joined by Jake Livermore, the club captain, Kieran Gibbs, David Button, the sub-keeper, Kamil Grzycki, Charlie Ostrin and Cedric Kipre on the bench. Opportunity just seconds in, and the opening goal is scored 20 seconds on the clock, and it's scored by Miguel Almiron. What an important goal for the Paraguayan, his second goal of the season, and the man whose own agent tried to talk him into a move away from the club. He said he wanted to stay, take his chance with Steve Bruce, and boy has he. Just seconds on the clock, and Newcastle take the lead. Newcastle 1, West Brom 0.
You expect so much better from Ivanovic. They're an experienced player, but Callum Wilson absolutely bullies him. Lays it off to Joelinton. Fantastic outside of the foot pass into the path of Almiron. And nice composed finish. And his agent has been making noise recently, so he's owed Steve Bruce there.
Bruce basically said, I want this bloke to stay. Almiron himself came out and said, I want to stay, leaving the agent with a bit of egg on his face. And Almiron, he took it well, as you say. Great build-up play. And whatever you can say about Miguel Almiron, he's a trier. He has never, ever given up and never not covered every blade of grass he possibly could for me since he came from Atlanta United.
Exactly. When you look at him as a player, you'd think he's just a technician of sorts, but no, he works so hard, does a great job for the team, he tracks back, and he gets involved in a lot of their good plays. So I'm happy for him, and it's a great start for Newcastle, but Ivanovic has to do better there. An experienced centre-back like himself, captain on the day, it's just poor defending.
There was, I think, a brief VAR check there to make sure that the goal went ahead. There were 1 or 2 slightly nervous faces around. I can only presume that was the pressure that Callum Wilson put on Branislav Ivanovic, but I thought that was absolutely fine, and as you said, just good, stout, old-fashioned forward play.
Yeah, he was just stronger than him, he wanted it more, and he bullied him. And now, 20 seconds into the game doing that, he's going to have faith that he can do that all day, run him in the channels, get his body against him, and give him a day that he doesn't want.
I presume it was just a nominal check to be sure, because that would have been an utter travesty had that been ruled out.
Yeah, most definitely. And it's just the last thing West Brom would have wanted at the start of this game. They come into it on the back of a good hiding last week, and now 1-0 down. They're going to have to open up a little bit, and I think the Newcastle strikers could get real joy.
Got the official printout just in front of me. It was checking that, but it was for a possible handball as he won that one-to-one battle against Ivanovic. So not for a possible shove. It was as he brought the ball down, did it maybe bounce back off his arm? If it did, it was clearly in the natural body silhouette and was no issue. And to be honest, looking at the replay in front of me, I'm not sure it even did at all anyway.
No, I think that was clearly off his hip, so no problem with that goal whatsoever.
That was officially what the check was for, though, so all is good. We move on, and a 22nd goal into the game from Miguel Almiron is the difference between the teams. What a start here on Premier League Live. Newcastle 1, West Brom 0, and we hope for plenty more like this.
Yeah, hopefully it can carry on, go to be a classic. Before the game you wouldn't have thought so, but fantastic start for Newcastle. Their confidence will be sky high after their last win, and now they'll want to go and put this game out of sight and go and get the second and third goal.
Frustration from West Brom already as Sean Longstaff is sent barrelling forwards. He's had his legs taken from under him and has been fouled right in front of his own boss, who doesn't look overly happy. Already maybe one or two West Brom hens going, just as we talked about was the issue in the second half against Crystal Palace when they capitulated then.
Yeah, they have to keep their composure, both with the discipline on the pitch and tactically, because if they open up too much too early, Newcastle can get at them. West Brom aren't good enough to just open up and have an end-to-end game, so it's going to be interesting, but it's just a terrible start. As a manager, you're fighting for your life, you put the team out, and within 20 seconds you see that go on with your captain. It's unacceptable.
Really nice turn there from the goal scorer Almiron, who got the better of Filip Kravinovic on the Croatian's return to the team. And Newcastle therefore come again on the right edge of the West Brom penalty area. Callum Wilson, who set up the goal. Back to Longstaff, back to Emil Kraft, the Swede, returning to the team on the far side wearing 17. What's your take quickly on the Newcastle formation as to whether it is 3 at the back or 4? I'm still not 100% sure myself.
Yeah, it's a tough
bit
one.
Fluid, isn't it?
Yeah, it does look very fluid. I think they are starting with a 5 or
yeah,
or 3
Hayden's
or a
dropped
5.
back at the moment, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's dropped back at the moment, but it's very hard to pick up at the moment. The West Brom players aren't really getting near him as well when Newcastle keep it at the back, so they're starting this game with real confidence, and it'll be a massive plus for Joelinton, who's struggled massively since he's come to this country. He's got a goal and assist in the last game and assist in this game, so his confidence will be sky high.
Yeah, it was very important he did that, and hearing his own boss just say that he's finally finding some strength and finally finding his way. Those were the quotes post-match from Steve Bruce about Joelinton, and yeah, it's just so important, isn't it, to get that confidence up, even if it's taken, 18 months?
Yeah, they've taken a long time, and the confidence he'll want most is knowing that his teammates believe in him, and if that gets sapped away, that could really drain on him from day to day. So the more he's doing stuff like he is so far today and in the previous game, then they'll grow confidence in him, and that will give him the massive boost that he needs.
Totally. £40 million signing was the club's record signing, and of course Miguel Almiron a year or so before was the same when he cost 20 odd million from MLS, and you could say a similar thing about him. Goals haven't come as fluently and as regularly as he would have liked either. It's been a real frustration for both, even if their styles and their approach has been quite different.
Yeah, most definitely. I was a big fan of Almiron when he was in the MLS Atlanta, yes. And he was very good, and he was involved in a lot of the good stuff they had going forward. It's not always been easy for him at Newcastle, but like you mentioned earlier, he works so hard and does other aspects of the game so well.
West Brom have won a free kick which Matt Phillips bends in, and it was a desperately poor delivery that was all too easily cleared by the Newcastle defence. Cullen Grant has dropped back to pick up the loose ball. He pumps it into the box, and under significant pressure, Carl Darlow, the young Newcastle keeper, fists that away well through a sea of bodies. I thought he did pretty well there.
He did well. I was worried when he was coming for the ball. He didn't look favourite in that position, but he done very well and relieved the pressure off his defensive line.
Caldolo, of course, he did come into the team as number one briefly a season or so ago and really struggled, was then put back out of the firing line and is now back in and doing a pretty decent job so far this season. Here come West Brom. Much better move temporarily between Callum Robinson and Conor Gallagher, but in the end a bit of a misunderstanding between the pair, frustratingly from the Baggies' point of view. They give the ball away and Newcastle have the chance to bring it clear. A glimmer there from West Brom for a second.
Yeah, they've started to settle now the last minute or so. They're going to need more control of the game. Newcastle do look like they've settled into a back four now. So they've got the two guys up front, West Brom. They've got Carlin Grant and Robinson, who can cause problems, and they're going to have to try and get hold of the ball and bring others into play.
Sloppy foul this time from Semi Ajayi on Matt Ritchie. Matt Ritchie, 31 years old now, the former Bournemouth winger. Got his chance back in the Newcastle starting 11. Was a real mainstay, wasn't he, for a couple of seasons, and he's a bit more of a peripheral figure these days, but I still really like him.
Yeah, he's got quality, and you can obviously tell he's a very good professional, because even when he's out the team, he comes in, he's fit, he's ready to go. So fair play to him. He's had a good Premier League career, Matt Ritchie, and done very well for himself, and he's a player that a lot of managers would like to have in their squad for his personality and also his quality.
Left-footed in-swinging delivery is a good one. Grant was up there helping out his fellow defenders, and West Brom get it at least partially clear, but here come Newcastle again. Jonjo Shelvey, the ball-headed skipper, with a great through ball, lovely back heel, and Newcastle not a million miles away from the second. Shelvey finding Jolinton, he tried to square it and he wasn't far away from doing so.
Brilliant pass from Jonjo Shelvey, and he's the one player on the Newcastle team who has that quality to see things which others can't. Nice slide rule pass to Jolinton, and that you can see his confidence growing there, even just trying the first time back heel in the box. That's not something that everyone just tries off the cuff, so fair play to him. He didn't connect, but his confidence is up and he'll keep going.
Premier League Live, 8 minutes and 50 seconds in. Newcastle 1, West Brom 0, and it's Newcastle on the attack again. Remember, significant COVID outbreak. You wouldn't know it looking at them so far, though, as Callum Wilson goes screaming along the dead ball line, and we'll credit Ajayi this time. Struggled a little earlier, but this time he stuck with his man well, and again got the ball to relative safety. West Brom struggling to hold on to it though, and they give it back to Newcastle, and the team are more than happy to stroke it around on halfway. West Brom's ball retention has been desperately poor, among several issues so far for me.
Yeah, they're not keeping the ball well enough, and you can get at that defence at any given moment. They look all over the place.
Apart from that, they're fine.
Yeah. Callum Wilson there, he's just getting in, and Ajayi has to do better. He gets too tight, a little nutmeg. He ends up doing well, but they're there to be got at, and Callum Wilson and Jolinton, they'll be licking their lips. They can get at these defenders any moment.
So with an assist there, Callum Wilson's been involved in 10 of Newcastle's 13 league goals this season. He scored 7, assisted 3, and only hasn't been involved in 3. That is an incredible stat.
Yeah, it's what they've been crying out for, a striker to come in and make an impact, and he's done that. Everyone knows what Callum Wilson's done over the past 4 to 5 years.
When fit.
Yeah, when fit.
That's been key, hasn't it, to him not going to the likes of a Chelsea when they were interested.
Massively, and he's had some real big injuries as well in his career, Callum Wilson. So
he had 1 or 2 cruciates?
2, I'm tempted to say.
Yeah, I think you're right, yeah.
2, so he's come through it, shows the toughness of his character, and he's such a handful for defenders to play against. No defender will enjoy their 90 minutes against Callum Wilson. He hustles, he fights, and they'll definitely know that they've been in the game.
Yeah, definitely is 2 cruciates, as we just double check that one for you. Yeah, Callum Wilson, you think of all the great number 9s at Newcastle over the years. Clearly, Jackie Milburn back in the 50s, Malcolm McDonald in the 70s, Alan Shearer in the 90s into the early noughties. They're the standouts probably, but there have been a few others of decent note over the years too, and I think he's got a chance, if he can stay fit, to really etch himself into that kind of folklore.
Yeah, most definitely. You mentioned some great names there. Obviously, he may not have the impact of what some of those players have had in terms of league positioning, but he can make make such an impact to this Newcastle team. Without him, I would worry where they're going to finish in the Premier League. But if they win today, they're on 17 points after 11 games. I think they're halfway there, because this season, with some of the teams at the bottom, the main four, I don't think you're going to need the 40 points. It'll be in and around 33, 34, I believe. So it'll be a fantastic start to the season if Steve Bruce can get the 3 points.
I'll tell you what, Hogan, 14 points from 10 games isn't exactly lights out. It's decent, but it's actually more points at this point of the season than in their last 2 seasons combined, which I just find shocking.
And you wouldn't believe it with the criticism that Steve Bruce has got at times this season, but they've done well. Today's the massive game for them. If they can go on to 17 points today, that'll be a huge boost, and it'll put them in good stead going into the Christmas period.
Yeah, I've been covering a fair bit of England rugby recently, where winning, but winning ugly, has been a real stick that Eddie Jones, their head coach, has been beaten with. And I know it's a different style, it's a different sport, but it's a similar comparison in a way to what Steve Bruce has been trying to do, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. It's strange because when me with my fan hat on, I obviously love to see my team win and play well, but when I was a player, I loved an ugly win. There was no better feeling getting on the coach where you've just had to work so hard. You haven't had a good day at the office, but you've gone and got that scrappy win and dug in. So the players will be enjoying it, not enjoying the football necessarily, but just enjoying that feeling of scraping out results and getting the wins.
Yeah, funnily enough, a couple of the England rugby players said exactly the same to me on that exact same topic. Just while we were chatting for a second there, Conor Gallagher made a half-decent run into the penalty area, but put in a fairly insignificant cross, and it was very easily intercepted by Carl Darlow. That's pretty much all you've missed, as these two teams just kind of play the ball around in midfield without really much of a probing nature to it. 13 gone, Newcastle 1, West Brom 0. If you're just joining us here on Premier League Live, the goal after 21 seconds from Miguel Almiron for the home team is the difference between the sides. Here come West Brom on the far side with Matt Phillips, the former QPR winger, Scotland international these days as well, was quickly closed down by Almiron, who, as we touched on, is everywhere and doing a fair degree of defensive duties as well as that clear offensive prowess that he brings to the team. Ball stroke through from Romain Sawyers. Poor ball though from the St Kitts and St Nevis international. Sold his teammates desperately short, and then what do? They foul John Joe Shelby and give away another free kick. And John Joe typically is having one or two little afterwards, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
Likes to do that.
Yeah, he's not a shy character.
He is not.
No, and Romain Sawyers, playing against him before, he does like to talk or have a good chat during the game.
God, so those two going head to head is going to be really interesting then.
Yeah, they'll get to know each other very well today.
Yeah, Romain Sawyers now in his second spell with the club, having gone away to the likes of Brentford over time. Now getting his opportunity, and pretty much a regular starter in this team alongside Conor Gallagher. That is the two-man defensive midfield. Gallagher, who scored 2 goals in his last 2 games, and my goodness, if West Brom needed those, without them they would be in even more trouble, because of course he got the winner in the game I commentated on a couple of weeks ago when they beat Sheffield United for their 1 win of the season to date. And at that point, Simon Bennett said it was a lifeline, it was an absolute crucial momentum builder. Trouble is, they haven't built on it, have they?
No, they haven't, and that game was massive, a game that they obviously had to win. And
it was dire at times as well, I tell you.
Oh yeah, it was a shocking game to watch. But today's similar in my eyes. This is a game they have to win if they have any aspirations of even putting up a fight to stay up. And I know Newcastle way is not easy for teams down at the bottom, but they have to go and win today if they got any hope.
I think without the fans, it's one of those grounds that maybe makes a more notable difference than some, doesn't it, given how vociferous the Newcastle crowd is. I mean, Newcastle have lost 5 of their last 7 home games in the league, and that's almost unheard of normally, isn't it?
Yeah, no, that's not good at all. They have played some big teams during that time.
That's true.
They played the likes of Manchester United and Chelsea, but even so, they need to be doing better than that. They'll be desperate for the fans to come back, the players, because the atmosphere that it generates at St James's Park is just unreal. Steve Bruce might not be too happy, because they might want Newcastle to be on the front foot a bit more, and I think he's quite happy to camp in and hit a lot of teams on the break.
Yes, exactly, and that works well without the frustration of fans maybe booing and whistling. Anyway, here come Newcastle looking for a second. It's the pace of Almiron again, who streaks clear and shoots. It's on target, and Sam Johnston ultimately makes a save from an acute angle. Almiron showing real hunger and real pace to burst clear there, and nearly had a second.
The first touch from Almiron is outrageous, and the turn of pace is just brilliant. There was no second thinking in his mind. He just wanted to go straight at the heart of the West Brom defence, and he was unlucky. The first touch was just so beautiful.
Just having a look at the replay here. Oh, it is glorious. I completely agree. He's up against the youngster in Dara O'Shea. And if you're Dara O'Shea at 21 years old, getting a very rare Premier League start, he did so in the Championship a fair bit for West Brom, but my goodness, this is a potential real tough challenge, isn't it?
Yeah, most definitely. He's done well to not bring him down, actually, because he would have been tempted to. The turn of pace was just lovely, and Almiron, he's got to keep doing that and put this West Brom team really on the back foot.
Kravinovic at least had a shot there. The Croatian who's on loan from Benfica, one of those three baggies changes, let rip from about 30 yards, but it was pretty much immediately blocked by the Newcastle defence. And on the far side, the ball ricochets out for a throw to West Bromwich Albion. Sawyers exchanging passes. The ball nearly goes out of play, but it's just about kept in. Here's Phillips, who bundles his man out of the way. I've got to say, that was pretty clumsy and pretty unconvincing again from West Brom, who've wasted a half-decent opportunity there.
Yeah, it was. I know nowadays a lot of wide players want to be on coming in on their good foot, but Matt Phillips isn't one of those. I was with him at QPR. He likes to get down the outside on the right-hand side and get his crosses in. That's what surprised me when he first joined. His quality of crossing was fantastic. Probably the best crosser at the club whilst I was there. And it's going to be hard for him being on the left side, but he has to try and make it happen, link up with the front players, and try and come in and have some shots, because he does have a great shot from range.
Miracle has tweeted in saying Newcastle 2, West Brom 1 is still his prediction for how this one is going to play out. Ogbu says exactly the same, and Casey Emura reckons Newcastle will take this 3-1 come the final whistle. At TalkSport Live, keep your tweets coming in wherever you're listening around the world. We love to hear from you, what you're up to. Send us a picture if you fancy as well, where you are, and your thoughts on these two teams, the game, the bosses, whether or not, of course, the Baggies boss Slaven Bilic could be sacked at the end of this one. Newcastle, given their horrendous COVID outbreak, really fighting and putting in a strong display so far. Your thoughts at TalkSport Live. We love to hear from you on Twitter. Here come West Brom at long last as Callum Robinson controls it well and offloads it, and this time Almiron, maybe getting a little bit too stuck in, is the guilty party as he brings Kravinovic down. And for once, West Brom have got a decent attacking platform about 25 yards out, Hogan.
Yeah, this is a nice chance. Matt Phillips, I could see, is in and around the ball. He might fancy letting it go. But this is the sort of opportunity West Brom they need to try and take advantage of. I know this isn't an easy position, but whether they cross it in and they have bodies in the box, or whether they have a shot, because I can't see them cutting through Newcastle too easily today. They haven't shown me anything in the first 19 minutes to convince me of that.
19 minutes gone as Newcastle continue to lead by 1-0. And just as West Brom labour for a second and prepare to take the free kick, we'll just go to that quick issue about whether or not you fall out with your transfer gurus and how much that puts you in a tricky position to then stay on as a manager.
Yeah, it's a tough one. Obviously, the game's changed so much nowadays. I'm still a fan of managers signing the players and picking who they want and who they need.
Yeah,
but there's so many different roles now.
I completely agree with you. Shot from distance, takes a little deflection and goes behind for a corner. Wasn't the worst effort in the world, but not particularly scary from Newcastle's point of view. And yeah, I just think if you've got that clarity of one person making the decisions of who they want, surely that should work better.
Yeah, 100% in my eyes. You see so many teams nowadays that they bring players in, the players aren't playing. You can tell that it wasn't the manager's signing or the manager's preference, and it just really doesn't add up to me.
No, completely agree. Too many cooks and all of that spoiling the broth. Phillips takes the corner and it's east toward goal. It was Ajayi, he was up there, the big defender. He was not marked well on that occasion for once by Newcastle. Ajayi's shot, I think, would have been goal bound, but not for the first time. Newcastle get bodies forward, block the opportunity and do well. They have been quick when needed to snaffle out danger. Ball over the top. It's end-to-end stuff. Here come West Brom once more. Colin Grant, I think he's adjudged to have fouled his man, Emil Kraft. He's furious. It's all going on at both ends all of a sudden.
Yeah, Newcastle was nearly in on the 3v1 attack there.
Exactly.
It wasn't a great or easy height for Joelinton to deal with, but if he could have just hooked it, Callum Wilson would have been in. And then Carlin Grant giving away the free kick. That's twice that Kraft's gone down a little bit too softly for my liking, but he's got the free kick as defenders usually do. So
yeah, I felt sorry for Grant there. If you look at the strong forward play from Wilson that led to the goal,
exactly,
I don't think there was much different with what Grant did on Kraft there.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I agree with. I think Wilson's one was probably more aggressive, and that wasn't a free kick in my eyes. So this one I don't think should have been either.
21 minutes gone, Newcastle 1, West Brom 0. The Baggies are having a better spell, and here is Ajayi again. Right-footed delivery, this time powerful header clear. Strong defending, and Isaac Hayden certainly is playing as a centre-half at the moment. He acrobatically headed the ball to safety. Long-range effort from Matt Phillips, and what I would say with Matty Phillips, you played with him, you know better than I, but it's either a worldie or it's an absolute shocker, isn't it? And unfortunately that effort there was very much in the latter category.
Yeah, I just spoke up his long-range shooting, and that was horrendous.
But there's a few players like that, aren't there? Andros Townsend would be another that springs to mind. They're either wonderful or they're horrendous.
Yeah. What's worrying is you're naming all the ones that I played with, so I might fit into that category as well.
Did you ever play with Jason Punchin?
I did.
Yeah. Oh God, he's another one for sure.
Oh, so I must have been the same.
Oh dear, 22 gone, Newcastle 1, West Brom 0. Brilliant to have Hogan Ephraim back alongside me here on Premier League Live. Powerful header forward from Newcastle from Hayden once more, but West Brom pick it up bang on halfway. Here is Conor Gallagher, the youngster on loan from Chelsea, wearing 18. Shock of blonde hair. And also, I should say as well, looking a little bit greasy because the rain really is coming down now. It was drizzling before kick-off, and it has slowly got worse and worse over the course of the opening half of this first period. Newcastle with the ball away. Here's Callum Robinson, and of course, who's brought in from Sheffield United in that swap deal for Oliver Burke. Robinson, no real options ahead of him, so he's forced to go back to O'Shea, the youngster, who pings it forward. It's beyond Robinson and just short of Grant, and in the end, West Brom don't get the throw either, and Robinson is absolutely furious.
Yeah, I thought that was a West Brom throw, but the referee didn't seem to think so. But just looking at Newcastle, I know the attempted takeover wasn't allowed to go through, and obviously there's political issues around it which I don't know about, but Newcastle is a club that you would love to see somebody come in with finances that they can go and sign big players, because it is a huge club. The fans are so passionate, some of the best in the country, and it's just a club that you'd love to see go into the market and be able to really flex their muscles.
Uwem Benson reckons that Newcastle will eventually take this by 3-0 such as their dominance been in the game so far. That TalkSport Live, keep your thoughts coming in. I know, West Brom have at least improved a little bit over the last probably 5 or 10 minutes. It wouldn't have been hard to improve from their standpoint in the opening, sort of 20 minutes of this game. It's something, but for a team second bottom with just those 3 goals in their last 8 Premier League games and 7 matches they've played in where they failed to trouble the scorers, they've shipped a league high number of goals in 23 as well. Worrying times. Nice little bit of close control in the far corner before once again West Brom give the ball away, but this time they do at least get the throw. Donnell Furlong, who scored a slightly unlucky own goal in that Crystal Palace 5-1 defeat, the first of the goals in the game. He's come surging forward, tries to win the corner, and Newcastle double up on him, and in the end a combination of Matt Ritchie and Jamal Lewis do just about enough, and largely Newcastle's work rate has continued to be good so far.
Yeah, Newcastle working very hard and doing well, but what I would say about West Brom is they've actually managed the last 24 minutes really well, because when they went a goal down, they could have been tempted to just start throwing bodies forward and get caught out and be 2 or 3-0 down by this stage, but they haven't. They're keeping themselves in the game, and slowly but surely they're starting to assert a little bit of pressure into Newcastle's half and keep the ball a little bit better than they were.
Long ball over the top, brought down by Furlong, who frustratingly just miscontrols that one. It was again young Dara O'Shea who pinged it forward. We're certainly seeing a nice bit of close control and ability to pick a pass from him, and I think Furlong would have liked to have done better there. I know it's tricky, drizzly conditions, but even so.
Yeah, no, he has to do better there, Donnell Furlong. Technically, he's not the greatest. He was another player who I was with, and that's not his main game, and playing wing back I'm not sure suits him the best. I do think he is a natural fullback.
Ball smashed forward by Newcastle as far as Almiron, who holds it up well, goes for another curling effort. It's on target, and Callum Wilson was waiting to snaffle up any potential rebound, but Sam Johnson saw it every inch of the way and critically saved it first time. Second time I think it would have been 2-0.
Yeah, but the space Almiron was afforded there, he's actually gone to pull the trigger, stopped, moved the ball another yard and then just let a shot off. Someone has to close him down.
Very reminiscent of how this game opened up, of course, when Miguel Almiron scored the Paraguayan 21 seconds in. Again, West Brom give the ball away. Jamal Lewis wins it. Finds Callum Wilson. Branislav Ivanovic with his balding hair as he turns with his back to us. Didn't do the best once more. He struggled a little bit in this game and was very much done by Wilson for the goal. Here is Callum Wilson, right edge of the penalty area. Options are a little bit limited, so he goes back to his Swedish fullback, the recalled Emil Kraft, and Kraft's recall ain't going to last too long if he continues to cross like that.
No, it's a poor delivery that. He wasn't under pressure. He should be, even if he's not picking someone out, pick out the space and let the forwards run into it to attack it.
Attempts, Newcastle 3, West Brom 4 so far, but shots on target. Newcastle leading it 3-0, so it's all good huffing and puffing, but from the Baggies' point of view, you've got to make the keeper work.
Yeah, there's been a serious lack of quality in the final third for West Brom, not just in this game, but over the course of the season, and I think that will continue. I don't see players that are going to step up to the task and take control of situations and show that bit of guile, so it's going to be tough for West Brom. They need to take advantage of set plays and stuff like that, but they've just got to keep working hard and hoping something will drop their way.
Newcastle's training base only reopened on Tuesday from COVID after being shut for 10 days. It was after 2 rounds of negative tests on Monday for the rest of the playing staff that were available. That's the level of the issues they have been through. Plus, as we mentioned before, 14 odd players who've gone down during that time frame. A couple of members of the coaching staff as well. You would not know it so far in this game, which is what Steve Bruce and Matt Ritchie, funnily enough, in his pre-match media conference called for from the team. Here's the young local boy, Sean Longstaff, his brother Matty on the bench for this one. Options limited, so they go back. Here is Almiron, who's buzzing around and again covering every blade of turf. It's Shelby's delivery, the skipper from the far side. Not a great cross, but it's picked up on the far side from Kraft. Can he do better this time? Just a bit of a misunderstanding with Joe Linton. The momentum of the attack is lost slightly. Shelby tries to rectify that left-footed cross with his weaker foot, and that one was always high and rising and out of play for a goal kick. Newcastle just getting in each other's way a little bit there for me.
Yeah, it was a good first touch from Kraft, but then him and Joe Linton did get in each other's way. Shelby, it wasn't the greatest of cross, but he put a lot of conviction in it for his weaker foot. He didn't just try to loft it in. He's put
again, that's Shelby all through though, isn't it?
Yeah, he
don't do anything half-cocked.
Yeah, he doesn't go half-hearted, so he's gone for a good full attempt there, and fair play to him. It didn't come off that time, but I like the confidence in what he was trying.
28 and a half gone. Premier League Live, Newcastle 1, West Brom 0. At TalkSport Live, keep your tweets coming in. Kenzie Block from Nigeria thinks it's going to be a 1-1 draw, so he fancies the Baggies to get back into this one. And Okoro Ikena says it's so good to see Almiron coming back to something like his best. Newcastle will see out this game in fine fashion. I'm enjoying your sensational commentary. They're very nice indeed. That's from Stan. He signs himself in Port Harcourt in Nigeria. So at TalkSport Live, we'll continue to read out the best tweets over the course of the game. Send us a pic where you're listening from, what you're up to. We love to hear from you. And approaching half an hour, Newcastle pretty good value for their 1-0 lead. How would you assess the game overall?
Yeah, there hasn't been any clear-cut chances other than the goal, so I would say Newcastle deserve to be in front. West Brom have done well to keep themselves in the game so far, but now it's time they step it up a level the last 15 minutes of this half.
Here come Newcastle once more. They would desperately love a second. Callum Wilson bringing the ball forward. He finds Almiron, the goal scorer. Back through to Wilson, a clever delivery, and Callum Wilson had it dug slightly from under his feet and did well. Delivery from the far side from Kraft, looking for Joelinton. And it's headed behind by West Brom for a corner. Young O'Shea again taking ownership.
Yeah, Ivanovic is struggling massively here. He's getting dragged into positions he doesn't want to go into, and he can't recover back into position. His arms are out telling other players to cover. He looks like he's struggling big time.
And is that an age factor, just as simple as that, or I wonder if there is anything more to it with injuries? We don't know, but he's done okay largely this season to keep his place.
Yeah,
just seems to be struggling particularly today.
Yeah, I think the physicality of the two Newcastle strikers isn't something he would have been looking forward to, and they're dropping off one at different times. They're dropping off, the other's going in behind, and he doesn't know whether to come or go.
Shelby's delivery. Oh, and it's Ivanovic to his credit who blocks that one 6 yards out. An excellent corner, a powerful header from the edge of the 6 yard box, and Ivanovic just in front of his keeper who was unsighted. Much better there, and that still is his bread and butter, isn't it? As we should make it clear, a class player who was just outstanding for years and years at Chelsea.
Oh, he's had an unbelievable Premier League career. He done fantastic stuff at Chelsea when he played, obviously right back most of the time there, but he also had times at centre half, and he won everything there was to win at Chelsea. So fantastic career. He's coming towards the end now, but he's still an out and out defender, and he puts his body on the line, and that's what he's got to do for West Brom today and for the rest of the season.
Should say he is 36 now, isn't he? And that really is pushing it, I think, isn't it, to be a defender in the Premier League.
Yeah, and especially for a newly promoted team coming up to have to go and sign a 36-year-old centre-back, it tells you what their intentions are, because with all due respect to Ivanovic, who's, like we said, had a marvellous career, I don't think he's the answer now.
I think you are probably right. Was at Zenit St Petersburg for 3 seasons after his wonderful 9-year stint at Chelsea came to an end, and persuaded effectively into one last hurrah. Ball given away. Here come Newcastle looking for a second. Joelinton cuts inside his man. Great chance for the second, and from the narrowest of angles he tried to slide it inside the post, and Sam Johnson makes the save at the expense of another corner.
Brilliant quick free kick from Matt Ritchie. He sees it early. I thought he should have rolled Longstaff, but Wilson runs that channel. Joelinton runs the channel. Ivanovic can't keep up, then goes to ground too easy. Sam Johnson does well to stand up, but he's got to cut it back there. Joelinton has to cut it back, and it's a tap-in. I think it's Longstaff arriving in the box, and it'd have an open goal from 12 yards.
You're absolutely right, actually. There are 2 Newcastle players who, as we look at the replay, are both shocked they don't potentially get the ball and that Joelinton shoots. And that conversation has carried on a few seconds after as well. Anyway, Joelinton appears to kind of apologise to his teammates. Shelby takes another dangerous-looking corner, and again, having struggled and been forced to concede the corner in a negative sense, it's Ivanovic with a powerful header to get it clear.
Yeah, that's his game, heading things away, because anything in and around him, he's struggling big time today, so he's got to at least make up for it at the set pieces.
Sammy Wajina has tweeted in saying Newcastle will totally get the win in this one. West Brom need to improve so much. Awesome commentary on this cool evening in Port Harcourt in Nigeria. So Sammy, thank you for that. 33 gone, Newcastle 1, West Brom 0. Here is Kravinovic, the loanee from Benfica, back in the team today as one of the 3 changes. Finally, Carlin Grant gets hold of the ball, but the former Huddersfield man, of course, club record signing at 12 odd million quid, forced to run the channels, and we're not seeing the best of Grant here because for me he's not being used properly.
No, he's isolated a lot of the time. He's feeding off scraps, but he does work hard, and stuff like this is important because it's not just about goals as a striker. You've got to bring something else to the team, especially when the team's not creating, and he's doing that, so fair play to him.
Well, I suppose especially, dare I say, when you're not the most prolific as well, if you know what I mean. I don't mean that disrespectfully.
Yeah, exactly that, and Jamal Lewis could be in a little bit of trouble here.
Yeah, so he and Ajayi have had a little bit of a bust-up, shall we safely say, just to the right of our commentary position. And yeah, it got a little bit heated, didn't it? And credit Ritchie, and I think it was Furlong who've come and calmed them down, but for a second that got nasty, and Lewis certainly seemed to be very unhappy.
Yeah, it seemed like they were just going to be tugging at each other, and Lewis has his back to him, but his hand definitely pushes him in the face.
He's gone into the book, and it's actually Furlong, I think, is the initial instigator from West Brom's point of view, even though Ajayi got involved as well. Darnell Furlong and Jamal Lewis, both booked by our referee, who we should say, by the way, today is Darren England, and I don't think he had much option really there, did he, apart from to stamp his authority?
Yeah, no, he had to, and not that I would want a red card in this circumstance, but I wouldn't be surprised if VAR take a look at that, because the hand definitely did go in Furlong's face, and like we know, anything above the neck, you're running the risk.
It's a fair point, because we've seen, haven't we, 1 or 2 yellow cards upgraded to reds, and 1 or 2 straight reds for what appear relatively innocuous incidents, but ultimately by the letter of the law these days, VAR either upgrades or upholds them. This will not be the case because it hasn't gone to the video assistant replay. Yellow cards each, we play on. It was a West Brom free kick, and Furlong it was who bent it in. It's half cleared. Robinson takes a shot from 15 yards out, always slipping, always off balance, and it's high high, wide and handsome, and also it was offside for about 14 different reasons. That wasn't a goal.
Yeah, he was a little bit on his heels there. He wasn't expecting it, so he come back from an offside position, and on his left foot you didn't really fancy him there.
And he was still offside anyway.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Never mind, eh?
Going back to Jamal Lewis, I think what helped him there is him having his back to the player. I think if he was facing the player and his hand was in his face, as it was, then I think he would have been in big trouble. But I think he didn't intentionally know what he was doing, and that's probably why VAR just let the game run.
Carol is listening to us as she always does in Florida in the US, saying, loving the commentary, guys, and I've got the Christmas cakes in the oven and cooking them while I'm listening, and I'm looking forward to cheering on my beloved Manchester City in the game after you guys. And Hogan, she sent us a nice picture of the Christmas cakes, and it's at the early stages, Carol, we can safely say. The mix, the raisins, various bits are all slowly going in and congealing in the oven. I'm sure when that's done it'll be very nice. What do you reckon?
Yeah, it's got me a little bit hungry just looking at it.
Very nice indeed.
I wasn't too happy with the Man City part, being a Manchester United fan myself, but the rest
Carol
of it...
won't like you now. You've gone and undone all of your good work.
The rest of it I was delighted with.
Well, Carol, maybe send us a few. We would absolutely love it. It would be a nice little festive boost here on this side of the pond. 36 gone, Newcastle 1, West Brom 0. Kravinovic again, who largely head up, has tried to drive play and do something, but he gives it away. Newcastle pump it downfield. Callum Wilson nearly got himself in a foot race against Ivanovic, which he was bound to win. But we'll credit keeper Sam Johnson there, who saw, I think, what was happening in front of him and thought a horror show probably wasn't the best option and dealt with it himself, and that was crucial.
Yeah, he's impressed me a lot this season, Sam Johnston. To be honest, I wasn't a massive fan of him before this season. From what I'd seen, I wasn't impressed. I'd heard a lot of hype, but he's really done well, so I'm happy for him.
Oh, half chance for West Brom there as the ball was bent in by Phillips, and Darnell Furlong had come in from his flank and nearly snuck in and got a shot on target. As it was, Newcastle got it half clear. The ball ricocheted off the corner flag, and that allowed Conor Gallagher to keep it in for West Brom. They shoot from distance. That Phillips it was who pulled the trigger. It was on target. Carl Darlow saw it late, but it was straight at him, and ultimately a comfortable save. I guess for West Brom, that precious stat, it's finally a shot on target.
Yeah, it is. It started with Jamal Lewis getting his body shape all wrong, and Darnell Furlong almost got in on the blind side of him. So it looked like there was going to be a good chance for West Brom there, but Lewis got himself out of it, and West Brom, they're starting to build a little bit of confidence, and that's what they'd want.
Kodo Emmanuel, listening from Abuja in Nigeria, also listening to this before the Chelsea game as a big Chelsea fan, enjoying the cool atmospheric conditions that you guys put me under. So glad we're chilling you out to Doko as West Brom look for that precious equaliser, and it was Grant who again had to go out wide to get the ball, but put a nice run together. His shot was blocked, effort from distance from Gallagher, hoping for that third consecutive game that he scores in, and again, not for the first time today, it's another rushed shot off balance that was high, wide and handsome.
Yeah, it's a brilliant run from Carlin Grant, and that's what he's doing for West Brom. He can stretch the opposition. It's a nice ball into him, but someone has to be breaking their neck to get into the box once he's vacated it. He rolls the ball across the 6-yard box, and all you can see is 3 Newcastle players in the line. Nobody from West Brom wanting to get in there to score the goal.
Now, if you get this, I will buy you a festive pint, okay?
Yeah.
So Conor Gallagher is hoping to score in 3 successive Premier League games for West Brom. Who's the last West Brom player who did it? May to August 2016.
2016, 4 years ago at West Brom.
I can give you a clue that would really help you.
Go on.
And it gets cut to a half pint, if that's the case. He also played for Newcastle. If I'm not mistaken, he was loaned there and then bought outright from West Brom.
Solomon Rondon.
Correct. Okay, I'll get you a full pint. It's Christmas. I'm feeling generous. 39 gone. Newcastle 1, West Brom 0. So I think the point there is if Gallagher could do it, it's an achievement. But also, Rondon is an out-and-out striker and was probably in a better team, with all due respect, than this. Yeah. So if your midfielder can do that in a struggling team, yeah, that would be very, very impressive. Anyway, we're approaching 40 minutes. Newcastle still with that 1-goal lead. They've had chances for a second. West Brom has slowly improved from an awful start, but still not exactly convincing. And what I would say as well is with this heavy rain, the ball is starting to stick a little bit, and we're seeing a few splashes of the ball and the studs in the playing surface. This is getting harder conditions in one sense, isn't it?
Yeah, most definitely. It's probably the game where you just want to put it into those channels, because both teams have strikers in Wilson and Carlin Grant who can beat the opposition centre-backs in that channel, use their pace, use their power, get physical, get into that, and then the team can push up the pitch and get bodies into the box.
West Brom on the attack again. Furlong infield. Carlin Grant has come deep this time to look for the ball and loses out one-on-one with John Joe Shelvey. But then Newcastle kind of give it away. West Brom really put their bodies on the line there. Ajay, ball ricocheted off him in a painful fashion. It fell to Furlong on the far side. His deflected cross nearly found Kravinovic. It was a decent acrobatic clearance in the end, I think, from Isaac Hayden, who got it back out. Kravinovic picks it back up again for West Brom, 25 yards out, left edge of the penalty area, dinks a little cross with his right foot. We've not mentioned Kieran Clark, the Irishman, a lot in this game. He's just quietly got on with his business, but he cleared that one.
Yeah, he's doing well, but it's promising for West Brom now. The two crosses, the first one is 3 bodies in the box, second one 4 bodies in the box, and that's what they need. Because when Carlin Grant had his cross a few moments earlier, there was nobody in there, and they need to be getting into the box, and there'll be little ricochets, the ball will fall down, you'll get half chances, and that's what they got to take.
There's quite a few Newcastle players out at the moment, the likes of Alassan Maximin, Ryan Fraser, Jamal Lascelles, and when someone like Lascelles is out as one example, hoping Share would be another. If you're Clark, you've got this chance of some game time and desperate to take it, I'm sure, the former Aston Villa man, because he's got decent pedigree. He's been around a bit, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has been around. He's got nice composure on the ball as well. He goes diligently around his job, so hopefully he can have a good one in the team and put in good performances for Newcastle.
Absolutely. He started alongside Federico Fernandez in the last game. He's out, we can only surmise, with COVID, like the likes of Manquillo. Obviously Kraft coming in, and this rejig that has seen Isaac Hayden come into central defence. Kraft effectively start at right back, and then Lewis switched to an unfamiliar position of left back, but with Ritchie in front of him and kind of also supporting him defensively. It's a strange formation at times, but it is largely working so far, because 42 minutes in, Newcastle still lead by that 1-0. But mentioning Clark there, delightful turn just to prove Hogan's point that he's good on the ball, but then he gets it back and dinks it forward very nicely to Callum Wilson, and Wilson's adjudged to have fouled his man Sawyers. Again, that felt a bit harsh to me.
It did feel harsh, but like you said, 2 brilliant bits of play there from Kieran Clark, just keeping his composure, picking the right pass, sending one of the West Brom players with a little dummy. It was nice to see, and he is a very composed player.
Nice turn from Grant. Ball takes a mini deflection. Callum Robinson picks it up with a shock of blonde hair, wearing 7, peroxide blonde in his case. Out as far as Matty Phillips. Isaac Hayden, the former Arsenal man, rises highest. Shot from distance, takes a deflection, and it was Gallagher looking for that third goal in 3, and in the end it fizzed just wide. It was either a missed kick or perhaps came off a West Brom shirt in the end, but it's gone just wide of goal. Oh my goodness, that was close.
But that's the one we're talking about moments ago. Get bodies in the box, be physical, the ball will drop, there will be ricochets, you'll get half chances, and that's what West Brom are going to have to do. They haven't got the guile to just cut through any team, so they have to be getting bodies in the box and hoping for those little half chances, those moments where it drops. And it wasn't an easy chance, but Gallagher, with his quality, he'd be wanting to pick out the side net in there.
Particularly, as you said, pre-match, without Dean Garner, who's down to the bench, and Pereira, who's suspended, they don't have that ingenuity, and a little bit more route one there, and it nearly paid dividends. Furlong, by the way, went down in a collision just to the right of play and appealed for a penalty. Nothing was given. Gallagher, having come close, brings the ball forward once more, plays it to Grant, now to Furlong again, bends it in. Header clear from Kieran Clark, who's certainly much more involved over the last few minutes. Missed kick in the end, though, and the ball is given away. I think it was by Joe Linton, it was. He's kind of saying, what else could I do? But that surely is an example of Joe Linton not doing enough for the team.
Yeah, most definitely.
Which is one of his issues.
Yeah, he's got to get hold of the ball, be strong and look after it for the team there. Even if he has to just win a free kick, he has to do more than what he did.
Neat little 1-2 as Darnell Furlong is slipping in these tricky conditions, but just about keeps the ball in play. Then Sean Longstaff nearly slips as well for Newcastle, but works it up to the halfway line. We'll credit Ivanovic there. One thing he can also do, apart from head it, still is read the game well and have a good positional sense to get there ahead of Callum Wilson. Opportunity maybe for West Brom to get their equaliser, and it falls to Gallagher once more, fed by Callum Robinson. Gallagher turned, tried to get his shot away, and again it was blocked by the midriff of the Newcastle defender. Jamal Lewis getting back at the expense of a corner. You could appeal for handball, but again, with the rule of the natural body silhouette, that's never going to be a spot kick, and rightly so.
Yeah, it was never a penalty, but Gallagher can go on to have a real career. He's looking really good, getting stronger as the half goes on.
What is he, 22? He's not young, but he's still young enough, isn't he?
Yeah, he's still young enough. I'm really liking the look of Gallagher since he's been in the West Brom team. I saw him at Swansea last year, and I didn't know if he could make the step up and do it consistently enough, but he's definitely doing that. And
actually suits some players better sometimes. We'll come back to that in a second as Phillips takes an out-swinging corner this time. Isaac Hayden was up there. I think, has that gone behind for another corner, or have they given a goal kick?
It has to be a corner.
I think they've given a goal kick, though.
Oh, that's one of the most clear corners you'll ever see.
So we'll have a look at the replay. That's totally a corner. Isaac Hayden's looking very sheepish with a grin on his face, and about 8 West Brom players are all looking incredulous, and Hayden's got a brilliant grin because they've given a goal kick. That's a bizarre decision.
Yeah, I have no idea how the referee can miss that. It's just clear as day, but
so wrong.
Terrible refereeing.
That's one of the worst decisions I think I've ever seen, and it is the last decision of the half as well. Still, we are left with it etched on our minds. And yeah, just go back very quickly to that point from before. As you said, sometimes actually the class of a player, you step up to the Premier League and you actually give of your best, and that's what we're seeing from Conor Gallagher. He's been by far, I think, probably one of West Brom's better players. They've had the odd half opportunity, but it's Newcastle United who dominated the half, scored 21 seconds in from Miguel Almiron. Shillington could have easily doubled that advantage, so could Callum Wilson, and the pressure continues to be piled on beleaguered Baggies boss Slaven Bilic. They're second bottom, they need something, and a COVID-hit Newcastle lead 1-0 at the break on Premier League Live.
This Christmas, get all the non-stop Premier League action with the Now TV, Sky Sports or Sports Extra pack. Watch over 40 games this December with the biggest names in the league. Gets it from Fernandes. Stream every game or only pay for the ones you want. Your sport on your terms with Now TV. 18 plus ROI only. Month passes sold separately and auto-renew. Minimum speed 2.5 megabits per second. Terms apply.
Introducing Guardson Sport. Protect your sporting equipment from COVID-19 for up to 14 days with Guardson Sport disinfectant treatment. Ideal in team sport settings with the sharing of balls, rackets, gloves, helmets, and all other sporting equipment. Guardson Sport kills COVID-19 on impact, keeping surfaces free from COVID-19 and other viruses and bacteria for up to 14 days by creating a protective polymer layer on application. For more information on Guardson Sport and quality assured, certified and approved PPE, visit yourcovidprotection.com.
Create the Premier League atmosphere at home with Harvey Norman, the home of the big screen. Feel like you're on the pitch with our stunning range of 4K smart LED and OLED TVs from LG, starting from just $449. Plus, hear every kick, save, tackle, decision with LG's best-in-class soundbars. Get TV ready for all the big games with Harvey Norman. Shop online today or safely in our spacious stores. Harvey Norman, home of the big screen.
Let's talk about you looking after your business. Ford, looking after your vehicle. Let's talk hassle-free Ford leasing. Just a fixed monthly payment, no motor tax to deal with, and no maintenance or servicing to pay on selected plans. Get the Ford Transit Custom from €290 per month. Hassle-free Ford lease. Now we're talking. Search Ford Lease or text Ford to 50015 to speak to us about leasing your next vehicle.
Text cost a standard rate. Price quoted for Transit Custom Base with no maintenance. Over 4 years with 3 monthly rentals in advance. 20,000 kilometres per annum. Business users only. Price excludes VAT. Ford Lease is provided by Marion Fleet Management, trading as Ford Lease.
123ink.ie for all your home office needs, including printers, ink, toners, paper, label markers,
binders, pens, pins, batteries, boxes, chalk, compass, files, memory sticks, highlighters, glue, notepads,
Whoa! And we're cheaper than your current supplier. 123ink.ie for home, for office, for less.
At Paddy Power, we know competition for the remote control can be fierce at the weekends. So in order to give the non-football loving occupants of your house something to do, here are some of our top suggestions. Go for a walk. Walk the dog. Go cycling. Cycle the dog. Recycle the dog. Just go! Oh, All very good options, we say. And that's not the only one. If one leg of your 4+ full decker lets you down, get a free bet on all football leagues and markets. Paddy Power. Max free bet €10. Min odds 1 to 5 on each leg. Online exclusive. Excludes shop bets. T's and C's apply. 18+. Need help? Visit gamblingcare.ie.
You're listening to TalkSport's coverage of Newcastle United against West Bromwich Albion from St James's Park. I'm your host, Russell Hargreaves. Alongside me, the former QPR, West Ham and Toronto FC winger Hogan Ephraim. And this is Premier League Live. Newcastle leading 1-0 at the break. Let's remind you how the first 45 minutes panned out. Opportunity just seconds in, and the opening goal is scored 20 seconds on the clock, and it's scored by Miguel Almiron. What an important goal for the Paraguayan, second goal of the season, and the man whose own agent tried to talk him into a move away from the club. He said he wanted to stay, take his chance with Steve Bruce, and boy has he, just seconds on the clock.
You expect so much better from Ivanovic. They're an experienced player, but Callum Wilson absolutely bullies him. Lays it off to Joelinton, fantastic outside of the foot pass into the path of Almiron, and nice composed finish. And his agent has been making noise recently, so he's owed Steve Bruce there.
Here come Newcastle looking for a second. It's the pace of Almiron again, who streaks clear and shoots. It's on target. Sam Johnston ultimately makes a save from an acute angle. Almiron showing real hunger and real pace to burst clear there, and nearly had a second. Those two are the best chances so far. Joelinton with one that perhaps he should have stuck away as well. Bangies with a couple of half chances at the other end, but it's been largely frustrating for them. That's where we stand at the moment. Newcastle leading 1-0, and that was the full-time score in the first game of the day. It was a late goal for Aston Villa from the penalty spot as they won the West Midlands derby 1-0 at Wolves. Let's hear a little bit from Dean Smith, the Villa manager, telling us that Villa deserved their win and also deserved their clean sheet.
I thought we started the game, well, both halves really, really well. I thought we were the aggressors, but we never really created big chances. Partly down to some of our decision making at times with the final pass, and sometimes they're good defending. And but when they had their counter attacks and when they had their possession and their bit of pressure on us, we were indebted to our goalkeeper that made some really good saves. But we competed really well. We stayed in the game really well. I thought everyone battled and fought in there and deserved the clean sheet in the end, I felt.
So Dean Smith's Villa back up to 8th, Hogan, and they of course have a game in hand on most of those above them because of that Villa-Newcastle game that was called off last week due to the COVID outbreak. Brilliant start to the season, then a bit patchy, but maybe rallying again. It's hard to kind of predict, but where do you think Villa might end up this season?
I think they could be inconsistent, so I'll say anywhere between 12th to 14th, I believe.
Oh really? I thought maybe a bit higher.
No, I just believe some of the teams will step up. For example, Arsenal, I think over the course of the season I'd be surprised if Aston Villa outdid Arsenal, but we say that Ross Barkley's been injured and he was great before he got injured, and Jack Grealish for me probably the best player in the Premier League at the moment alongside Bruno Fernandes, so it's tough, but I think Aston Villa, they'll be a lot better than they were last year, and I don't think they'll have any problems fighting relegation.
Yeah, I wonder if they might be more like about where they are now, 8th. It's going to be very, very interesting to see. And just go back to one quick point you raised in commentary. We didn't get a chance to follow it up. So you look at Emi Martinez, who's in goal for Villa at the moment, and his own manager just praised him there for the saves that he made. Obviously didn't get much of a chance initially at Arsenal, went out as a loanee to loads of different clubs, and I'll be honest, never really did particularly well at any of them. But then back at Arsenal when Leno got injured, outstanding toward the end of last season, wins the FA Cup, really, really impressive, and is so good that he gets a big money move and then becomes Villa's number one. There are certain keepers who I think need to be a number one and need to be in a consistent club, and just to your point about Sam Johnson not impressing you until recently, could we maybe surmise the same about him? He needed a good run as a number one in a decent team.
Yeah, most definitely. Martinez has gone on worried for Arsenal when Leno got injured away at Brighton last year, but Martinez come in, like you said, and was absolutely fantastic, and he's gone on to Aston Villa. He's proven his worth. I believe he'll be Argentina's number one for the Copa America, and Sam Johnson, he's going to have to keep working hard. He's been fantastic so far, but if he carries on the season like he is doing now, he won't be playing in the Championship next year no matter what. He'll definitely be a Premier League goalkeeper next season because he's been fantastic, like I said, for the last 5 or 6 times I've seen him now.
And also, he never got, did he, Sam Johnson, a league opportunity ever with Manchester United. He was always kind of third, fourth choice and loaned out left, right and centre.
Yeah.
I wonder if also that toughens you up mentally when you do finally get a chance, because you've had to work so hard to get it.
Yeah, definitely. And also, he went to some big clubs, for Aston Villa, for example, and he was young for a goalkeeper, so maybe a massive club like that, putting down his personality on the team wouldn't have been easy for him. But now he looks like he's come into his own. He believes that he's the man, and that will help his confidence massively. And now he knows that even if he had a stinker today, he's still going to be the number 1 next week. That's just where he's at, and the credit in the bank he has with Slaven Bilic.
Okay, so 2 more commentary games to come later on. Just to remind you, 5:30 UK, so just over an hour and a half's time. It's the Manchester derby, United and City, with Tom Rennie and Kit Simons, and at 8 PM at UK, so in just over 4 hours' time, Ian Williams and Dean Hammond will guide you through Everton against Chelsea. At TalkSport Live, keep your tweets coming in. Fortune Alba listening in Abuja, Nigeria, predicting 3-0 come the final whistle to Newcastle, and saying, as an Arsenal fan, guys, these are such rough times. Yeah, I'm doing that game for Arsenal's in-house channel tomorrow against Burnley. Bit of a relegation 6-pointer for some, dare I say. He's not the only person on social media saying, bring back Mesut Ozil for this one, all is forgiven. There seems to be quite a lot of traction behind this. What do you think?
I think it's easy to say bring back Mesut Ozil because we know what he's done in his career, but we have to be honest, the last 18 months to 2 years, Mesut Ozil wasn't contributing too much to Arsenal anyway. I think the attacking players they have now, they're massively underperforming, and people will put it on the manager's tactics and say the midfield are giving them no service, but that's inexcusable for me. They have to do more. It's a front line which is getting older. It doesn't look like it has great legs in it. If you was playing in the back 4 or back 5 against them, you wouldn't be particularly worried about any of them stretching you in behind. So the Ozil situation, yes, he should be in the 25-man squad. Yes, that he's better than some of the players who are playing in that role, whether it be Willian at times or Joe Willock, for example.
Pepe, dare I say?
Pepe, yeah, he's a lot better than those players, but I don't think he is the answer to where they want to be. Yes, they may have a few more points than they have now, and it has to be other reasons other than just footballing reasons. You can't tell me Mesut Ozil's not good enough to be in Arsenal's 25 top players. That just doesn't make sense. So I think that one's run its course now, though, and I don't think we'll be seeing him play for Arsenal again.
Hogan, thank you for your thoughts. Second half fast approaching right here on Premier League Live.
What will you really gain from using anabolic steroids? Using illegal anabolic steroids can lead to nasty and serious side effects, both physical and psychological. Heart failure, infertility, hair loss, acne, mood swings, increased aggression. Don't lose out to steroid gains. Know the risks. Visit zerogains.ie. A message from the Health Products Regulatory Authority.
100% new, still 100% Caddy. The 5th generation all-new Caddy Cargo is more innovative, dynamic and efficient than ever before. With €1,500 purchase contribution plus a Caddy Cargo service plan for €9.99. Contact your local Volkswagen commercial vehicles dealer or visit volkswagenvans.ie to reserve yours now. T's and C's apply.
There's certain matchday sounds we are all missing. But there are others we don't have to. Is Carlsberg Pilsner the best beer to enjoy while watching the match at home? Probably. Carlsberg Pilsner, probably the best beer in the world. Enjoy Carlsberg sensibly. Visit drinkaware.ie.
This is not the time for business as usual. It's time for effort and imagination. It's time to use technology to start your online plans. It's time to work from home, to stay in touch. It's time to look to each other. Kayla. Ireland is working online with help from Black Knight and .ie, because now we need better than business as usual. Call Black Knight on 059 918 3027 or visit blackknight.ie. Create the Premier League atmosphere at home with Harvey Norman, the home of the big screen. Feel like you're on the pitch with our stunning range of 4K smart LED and OLED TVs from LG, starting from just $449. Plus, hear every kick, save, tackle, decision with LG's best-in-class soundbars. Get TV ready for all the big games with Harvey Norman. Shop online today or safely in our spacious stores. Harvey Norman, home of the big screen.
As Ireland's homegrown insurer, FPD knows it's empowering when someone has your back. So switch your van insurance to us and get up to 75% no-claim discount. Visit fpd.ie to request a quote. FPD Insurance. Support. It's what we do. Terms, conditions, and underwriting criteria apply. 75% no-claims discount is based on proof of 5 years no-claims discount and available to new commercial motor customers only. FPD Insurance Group Limited, trading as FPD Insurance, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland. Commercial motor insurance is underwritten by FPD Insurance plc.
123inc.ie have your office needs covered. So whether you're an accountant, butcher, carpenter, dentist, electrician, florist, graphic designer, hairdresser, journalist, lecturer, musician, optician, retailer, teacher, solicitor, web designer, or yoga instructor, we've got what you need. And we're cheaper than your current supplier. 123inc.ie. For home, for office, for less.
You're listening to TalkSport's coverage of Newcastle United against West Bromwich Albion from St James's Park. I'm your host, Russell Hargreaves, and alongside me is the former QPR, West Ham and Toronto FC winger Hogan Ephraim, and this is Premier League Live. Rain, I think, has just eased slightly as the players prepare to make their way out for the second half. It is still coming down, but maybe not quite in the droves that it was at one point during the first 45. Newcastle leading this 1-0 thanks to Miguel Almiron's strike after a mere 21 seconds. And I do wonder, Hogan, if we're about to see a half-time substitution. Charlie Austin might be coming on.
Yeah, looks like that, and he's someone in that West Brom squad who's definitely got goals in him. His fitness has obviously been questioned over the last 12 to 18 months, but
if not his whole career.
Yeah, his whole career. But his desire to get in the box and score goals, his finishing. When he came to, I was with him as well at QPR, and he came there. He'd obviously done well. I think it was Burnley he came from, and the first day in training, you just saw he was goal hungry, and he can get a goal out of anything on both feet, in the air. He's really tidy and knows how to put the ball away.
And scored his goals for Southampton as well, didn't he? But he's definitely not a Ralph Hasenhüttl kind of player, is he? He doesn't you could almost say a luxury striker in the sense that his all-round game, partly due to that fitness, is not the best.
Yeah, I think he when he came to QPR from Burnley, you could see that they probably suited his game perfectly, getting the ball forward early into him, getting crosses into the box. Came to QPR, we done something similar, it worked well. And when he went to Southampton, especially when Ralph Hasenhüttl came in, he doesn't press as hard like you said.
But he did score a fair few goals when he had his chance, didn't he? But I guess that's not everything in a Hasenhüttl kind of team.
Exactly, yeah. Hasenhüttl wants more than just a goal scorer. Someone like a Che Adams, for example, and Danny Ings. I know Danny Ings is a bit higher level.
But he's always kind of back helping defensively in the works, isn't he?
Yeah, exactly. And Hasenhüttl demands that from you, and I don't think that's Charlie Austin's game.
Interesting. He has had his injuries as well, which I think probably have just taken away a bit of that pace and fitness and made it even harder for what already wasn't his natural game. Would that be fair?
Yeah, most definitely. I think that's fair to say. He'll want to kick on and impress because he hasn't been playing for West Brom. I know he was on the bench for the under-23s earlier this season, which wouldn't have went down well with him. So now's his chance to really show the manager that he's up for the fight and he can bring something to the team.
Yeah, scored a few goals in the Championship, didn't he, when he came there? Certainly a good level for him. Can Austin still do it? He's only about 30, isn't he? But a few miles on that old clock now. We shall see. It's actually a double substitution, by the way, because in addition to the one man we mentioned coming onto the field in Austin, Kieran Gibbs, the former Arsenal left-back, is also on. So a double switch.
Yeah, Kieran Gibbs, it's good to see him back playing as well. He's had his injury problems. He's a sort of player you want him feeling confident in his body, because if he can get 3, 4, 5 games under his belt and build that belief that he's not going to get a pull here or there, then he's a very good player, technically very good, great lad. So he's fantastic around the dressing room for West Brom, and he'll need that quality. You don't play left back for Arsenal for so many years without having quality on the ball and knowing what you need to do. So it's a big chance for him now.
Yep, completely agree with that. I've been covering him for many years at Arsenal. Excellent player and often first choice, but not always. And you're spot on. It was the injury setbacks, the issues that just stayed his momentum and just stilted that confidence a little bit, that probably stopped him kicking on and becoming a real top player. He was one of the players who was mooted to maybe come into the 11 today from the get-go as Bilic pulled the changes after that defeat to Palace. It wasn't to be. He was only on the bench, but he is on at half-time, Kieran Gibbs. We'll see how he fares. Callum Robinson, by the way, is definitely one of the players to have gone off, and I'm just trying to work out who the other one is. Have you managed to work it out yet, Hogan?
I think it's Matty Phillips. Oh no, it's not Matty Phillips. Yeah, I think it is Matty Phillips. He doesn't seem to be there.
Interesting. So you've got a full-back on, and you've got an out-and-out forward on, so maybe a switch of formation and possibly back to a flat back four, maybe. That would make a lot of sense, wouldn't it, to be a bit more direct and try and put Newcastle under a little bit more pressure and maybe effectively sacrifice one of your defensive-minded players.
Yeah, of course. I think towards the end of the half, Bilic would have been happier with what West Brom were doing. They were starting to have Newcastle pinned back at times, so they've got to take that on now and really kick on.
Yeah, it is those two. We've had official confirmation, so you were spot on. We've got one each. Good teamwork. Here's Kravinovic with this new look West Brom lineup. I'll read you out the names of it in a second now that we've got them confirmed to you. Kravinovic infield. As far as Semi Ajayi, the English-born but Nigerian international these days. South London lad, spent a lot of his early career at Charlton. Ball is hoofed downfield and out of play for a goal kick. So Newcastle have got Carl Darlow in goal. And as we kind of understand it, it's Isaac Hayden and Kieran Clark as the centre halves, with Emil Kraft and Jamal Lewis as the fullbacks. Matt Ritchie, Sean Longstaff, John J. Shelvey, and then we've got Almiron Jolinton and Callum Wilson on the bench. Darryl Langley, the young goalkeeper, Matty Longstaff, Andy Carroll, Dwight Gale, of course, up against potentially his former club if he comes on, Jeff Hendrick, DeAndre Yedlin and Jacob Murphy. West Brom have got Sam Johnston in goal. Darnell Furlong, Semi Ajayi, Branislav Ivanovic and Dara O'Shea all remain on the field, as do the excellent Conor Gallagher and Romain Sawyers. Philippe Kravinovic is still there. Robinson and Phillips are off. Colin Grant is still there. And the men onto the field for the second half are Kieran Gibbs and Charlie Austin. The rest of the bench is David Button, the sub-keeper, Jake Livermore, the club captain, Drady Dean Garner, Camille Grzycki and Cedric Kipre, the Ivory Coast player.
Do you know what, Ross? It's actually Colin Grant who's gone off.
Okay.
Matty Phillips has gone into a central position alongside Charlie Austin, it seems.
Interesting. Very interesting. So Grant, who was dragged wide both sides over the course of that first half and we thought was doing a good job for the team, maybe the fact he just couldn't do his out-and-out job of goal scoring, possibly that's why he has been sacrificed. And I guess you look at the pace of Phillips, yes, he's unpredictable as we talked about, but could that direct running and pace lead to something? Maybe it will here! Oh, it will here! What a substitution! Because he had a key part to play, did Phillips. Furlong was up there as well, and a beautiful finish into the corner, and West Brom, having looked dead and buried with the pressure on Slaven Bilic, have hit back 5 minutes into the second half. Furlong strike, Newcastle 1, West Brom 1.
The finish is outrageous, but the turn from Matty Phillips is delightful. Left foot, stands up the ball. Jamal Lewis, exactly the same as the first half. His body shape's all wrong. This time Furlong does get in on the blind side, and the finish is absolutely brilliant. Outside of the boot, cuts across it on the volley. Keeper has no chance. As soon as he hits that, it's going in. I've done him a little bit of a disservice in the first half, saying he isn't the best technically. You won't see many better technical goals than that this weekend. That is an outrageous finish.
He's just lifted up a t-shirt saying, "That's for you, Hogan Ephraim." No, he hasn't. I'm only joking. I wish he had. That would be the best thing I think I might have ever seen in my whole career. But yeah, do you know what? I didn't disagree with you either, because I thought your assessment was spot on. But there's a reminder that you don't get to the Premier League by being a one-trick defensive pony, because that was superb.
Knowing him as I do, I'm going to put it down to that was him just slide tackling the ball into the net. I'll message him later and let him know it's a good tackle.
Brilliant goal, and as you say, just arriving on the half volley late, and we'll credit the man in the middle, Austin, as well, because he kind of drew the defender, didn't he? And because he's such a potent goal threat, what defence there was for Newcastle went toward Austin and not toward the fullback.
Yeah, definitely, and that's the problem with what Jamal Lewis will have. Being a right-footed left-back, he'll always want to have his body shape kind of closed so he can hook the ball away with his right foot if possible, and it's a dangerous position to be in. In the first half, he nearly got caught out on the blind side when we mentioned it, and that time was exactly the same, and he paid the price.
Absolutely. Newcastle have won a free kick which Matt Ritchie took, and uncharacteristically Ritchie overhit that and it's gone straight out of play for a goal kick, and that was poor. As we go back to Furlong and take another look at the goal, neat ball through. Phillips, as we just said, staying on but changing role, and yeah, that direct run, that hunger for the ball, that pace, that momentum, it just made an immediate difference.
Yeah, it did. Well, they've got the two bodies up there now as well, so there's more players getting into the box into support. Darnell Furlong coming from the opposite side, it's great. They're the positions that you want your players getting into. If they put crosses into the box, they can cause Newcastle problems.
Benjamin Snyder, as well as saying some very nice things about us and our commentary, has said that apparently Toronto FC have got a new coaching vacancy. Are you interested? Did you know this?
That'd be the dream job other than doing this.
Obviously, yeah, working with me, clearly.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, that's just come in, so maybe check that one out, because obviously, I know you thoroughly enjoyed your time there, didn't you?
Oh, I loved it. Fantastic club, unbelievable city, and this will be the first year I haven't been back to Toronto since playing there 7 years ago, so I just love the city, and hopefully they do get the right man for the job, because they do have some very good players there, and they should be pushing to win the MLS Cup.
So you're not running yourself out, that would be the journalistic line?
Oh, if I had the badges and if they'd take me, I'd love it.
Well, maybe get away and do those badges. Spend every alternate Saturday with me, and then spend the rest of the time doing those badges.
You can come in as my assistant.
Oh, mate, perfect. I've never been to Toronto, actually. I've been to most parts of America. I've been very, very lucky over the years through either work or pleasure, but
yeah,
I've only ever been to Niagara Falls. I've nicked into Canada for like 10 minutes, and that's the most I've ever done, and I would love to spend more time there. I'd love to experience and explore the place, so yeah, maybe you're right. By the way, just in terms of the game itself, it's not been given, but we're just looking back at the replay of a possible handball by Newcastle on the edge of the box. It might have been Kraft, I'm not entirely sure, but it seemed to strike an arm, didn't it? But no one really seemed to take note at the time.
Yeah, 6 to 8 weeks ago that would have been given.
Just pause on that for a second, because it's all happening. Here come Newcastle on the counter-attack. Here's Callum Wilson, feeds Kraft, and Kraft just couldn't quite wrap his leg around the shot. It was blocked, and ultimately he was offside too, so it would not have counted. Yeah, it kind of snuck up on that replay, but it was definitely a shout.
Yeah, definitely. I thought VAR would have probably had a little bit longer look at that, because the ball wasn't necessarily right close to him. It did travel a few yards. His arms were down by his side, but I think maybe it's the right decision. But like I was saying, 6 to 8 weeks ago, that would have been a Stonewall penalty, because they were giving penalties for any touch of the hand, which was ridiculous at the time.
Ludicrous, utterly ludicrous, and thank goodness that the guidelines were changed and just the barometer, the benchmark was tweaked a little. By the way, Benjamin Snyder is also a nurse working in his hospital today and listening to us from Birmingham, Alabama. The other Birmingham, I'm from the other one, and yeah, I went there a few years ago, Birmingham, Alabama. It was a fascinating place. I wish I could watch, but you are all painting a great picture for me. And thank you, Benjamin, for that little snippet about Toronto FC's coaching roles as well. 1-1, 54 and a half minutes gone. Newcastle taking the lead very early doors, 21 seconds in, through former Atlanta United player Miguel Almiron. And Darnell Furlong set up with a change in position at half-time by Matty Phillips. That was the equaliser on 50 minutes. West Brom have won a free kick just on the edge of the centre circle, taken by Romain Sawyers and poked forward to the goal scorer Furlong, and doesn't quite work out for him that time as Jamal Lewis manages to win the throw at his expense. Slaven Bilic isn't happy about that one. Where do you see this one finishing now? Very interesting.
Yeah, it is. I think West Brom now, they've got the bit between their teeth. They ended the first half the better side, and they've started this half the better side. And with the two up front, they're strong boys. Matt Phillips, like we saw for the goal, can get into the channels, and all Charlie Austin needs is half a chance, and he can put it away. So at the minute, I'm going to side with West Brom. I think they're on top here, and I fancy them to push on.
What a change all of a sudden after that wretched start, this largely wretched run of form from the team that is second bottom of the Premier League. West Brom, if they win, could climb a couple of places and for a while at least get out of that dreaded bottom three. We'll see if they can do it. Here's Kravinovic with a good run as far as Conor Gallagher. Curling effort from Gallagher. It's on target, but it's saved well by Darlow. It was straight at him in the end as Gallagher continues to probe and look for that third and three.
Yeah, it's not an easy chance, but a player of his quality, he can do better than that. It opened up for him, and technically he's a good player.
Nearly surprised him, I think, didn't it, almost, the fact it did open up.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to the Newcastle defence there. They just seemed to back off him, and it's hard for chance that for Conor Gallagher, but he is growing in the game. I love his energy. He likes to link up. He can play 1 and 2 touch. He can dribble with the ball. He can travel. He gets into good areas, so he's really impressing me today.
One thing we don't know, and Steve Bruce made the point that he would name no names at all, just numbers and conditions because of everybody's privacy, and it was completely fair enough, as we don't know how many Newcastle players have had COVID and have now been cleared and are playing but might not be fully fit, as Jamal Lewis puts in a truly horrific cross that goes out for a goal kick. And you just wonder whether a few players, if they're in that bracket, might start to labour and struggle in the second half.
Yeah, that could be a real issue if some of these players have come down with COVID. COVID, then you would assume that they would tire off as the longer the game goes on, and West Brom will have that in the back of their minds. Obviously, they'll be none the wiser like us to know who has had it, but they'll be hoping, in a footballing sense, that some of these players will tire off if they've had the effect of it.
Chocolate Candy, which is Elsie, she's listening to us from Accra in Ghana, saying it's a beautiful sunny afternoon at home. I'm still backing Almiron to get another and win it for Newcastle. It's not Almiron, it's Callum Wilson putting his old mate Ivanovic under pressure there, but an aerial contest that Ivanovic this time managed to win relatively easily. West Brom's clearance isn't the best, as Almiron does this time put pressure on the West Brom defence. Ball goes out of play for a throw. Bobby Igwe saying splendid commentary, guys. Still hoping for a home win for Man United later, and I think Newcastle will still get the job done in this one. And Kenzie Black saying that West Brom need to take the momentum from here and just keep pressing, keep moving forward to grab something from this one. I'll tell you what, that goal might lead to that very thing, Kenzie. Thank you for your tweet at TalkSport Live. It's Newcastle back on the attack through Sean Longstaff. Up as far as Jolinton, who, oh dearie me, back to goal, too easily dispossessed again. Once again, that was poor.
Look at his recovery run as well.
Recovery trot at best. Languid trot. Here's Charlie Austin, shot off the backside of the Newcastle defence and into Carl Darlow's hands. Austin's frustrated, maybe could have given it out wide rather than shooting. Regardless, all of that came from poor play, and then, as you say, awful tracking back from Jolinton.
Yeah, it was poor from him. He has to hold the ball and find one of his teammates. And once
Gallagher as well, who was screaming for it as well.
Then once he gives it away, there has to be a reaction. He's just laboured back. You've seen Jamal Lewis, who's 15 yards behind him, running past him. John Joe Shelby doing the same. Just couldn't look. He didn't look interested at all, and that's the worst thing as a manager and as a player. You want to at least see people putting in the hard yards, and he just didn't care at all there.
Not good enough, and that was after being praised to the hilt by his boss, of course, after a goal and an assist in that win at Crystal Palace a couple of weeks ago in Newcastle's last game, as it has turned out. Arteta out, which is Eric Ten Hag, says I'm listening on a long journey to Montauk, and I can't understand why Bilic played 5 at the back in the first half against a Newcastle team who never dominate the ball. If they don't win this, it's over for the boss, and he said that at half time, and funnily enough, that's exactly the switch that was made effectively, wasn't it, by Bilic, as if to say, I can do this management lark, I've still got a bit of life in me.
Yeah. Now, West Brom, they gave a good account of themselves so far the second half, and they got to carry on.
They have, and those changes from Bilic do look to be working, I have to say. Not the best of crosses there, that was easily plucked out of the air by Sam Johnston, and it begins another West Brom counter-attack. We have played exactly an hour here on Premier League Live, and it's a COVID-hit Newcastle 1, West Brom 1. Remember the Baggies, only 3 goals in 8 Premier League games, most goals conceded of any team, only 1 win. They are fighting very well here. Another low ball from Matt Phillips, who appears resurgent after a tweak in position at half-time. His cross from the left, though, this time found a black and white shirt, and Newcastle try to counter-attack. Here's the pace of Callum Wilson, who does well. He's been drawn wide and has run out of support. One-on-one with Ivanovic, and all Ivanovic can do is nick the ball off his feet behind for a corner. Yeah, Wilson didn't get a lot of support, and I think that's what he's saying to the rest of his players behind him as we speak.
Yeah, it's a great run from Callum Wilson and a great pass to match, and he has to keep doing that because O'Shea and Ivanovic, they cannot handle him. He'll get in time and time again, and that's where, when people complain about a lack of service to the forwards, it's the forwards run which makes the midfielder's mind up to play the pass, and his intent there was just to stretch the defence. Almiron knew if he puts it into that space, Wilson's going to get there first, so great play from the two of them.
It is a Newcastle corner after the veteran Branislav Ivanovic was forced to concede that. It's going to be taken by Matt Ritchie, just to the right of our vantage point here at St James's Park. It'll be a left-footed in-swinger from the Scotland international. Deep delivery, it's a decent one, and it was Furlong, the West Brom goalscorer, who was up there with a powerful header. Shot from distance from Newcastle. It's a proper pile driver. Pretty sure it was from Sean Longstaff. Through a sea of bodies, keeper Johnston saw it late. Fortunately, it was straight at him, yard either side, and that could have easily been a goal.
Yeah, he's hit that very clean, and it's gone through a lot of bodies. If that took a deflection, he would have been in big trouble there, Sam Johnson, but got himself behind the ball and held on to it well. But nice clean strike that from Longstaff.
Austin Du has tweeted in from Nigeria, from Abuja, saying, I've disposed of my TV and bought a radio set to listen to you guys every weekend. I saved my pay TV subscription, it's too expensive, and I listen. Good man. pleased to see that we've done that for you, my friend. We're trying to bring these games to life as best as we can. Here comes West Brom coming to life themselves. All chipped over the top from Phillips, who's gone central in this marauding role he's been given. Kravinovic finds Kieran Gibbs. Dangerous pass from the other half-time substitute. It's hacked clear by Emil Kraft, the Newcastle right back, but again, only as far as the Croatian Kravinovic, who is adding the guile for me in this team, given the absentees of the likes of Pereira and Diangana, who could yet come on. Ajayi's long cross. Oh, it's a poor one. Overhit and easily dealt with by Cordalo.
This is a completely different West Brom team this half. Playing the two up there in Matt Phillips and Charlie Austin, it's pinning the centre-backs back, and it's letting Kravinovic, Gallagher, Kieran Gibbs, even when he gets forward, they're having the space to be intricate, and they're causing problems to Newcastle. So they look a real threat at the moment, and I fancy West Brom to kick on from here and go and get the result.
Brent Parker, always love his tweets. Morning, boys. It's 9 degrees in a chilly Montana, but the kitchen in my cafe is warm and the commentary red hot as ever. Good man. I'm settled in for the rest of the day's games listening to you guys and digging deep for my Gunners tomorrow. Another loss against Burnley could be devastating. He's also saying a Man U 2-1 win in the derby after us. And he sent a nice picture of what he's cooking as well, which is, some sort of dough, some sort of pastry and some very nice kind of meat and potatoes inside it. It looks like very, very tasty indeed, Brent. Can't wait to come to your cafe one day, my friend. Very, very good. 64 gone, Newcastle 1, West Brom 1 as Jamal Lewis brings it forward on the far side for the tune. Up against Conor Gallagher, who sticks to him, and Furlong as a result wins the ball back. Charlie Austin tracking back and helping out and showing he can do a bit of the extra work after we questioned it, but coming off the bench for 45 minutes, hopefully he can keep that impetus up. West Brom just seeing so much more of the ball now as Ajayi finds Gallagher once more. Austin under pressure from Lewis as well to hold the ball up again after being slightly undersold. Now on the edge of halfway, head up, Branislav Ivanovic thought about a long ball downfield, but finds young Dara O'Shea instead. O'Shea to the corner, but after a promising little move there, just asks a little bit too much of Matty Phillips, doesn't he?
Yeah, the ball is always going out, but that's what Matty Phillips will give you. He's always going to chase every last ball, and if it was a bit better quality going into him there, he would have got hold of that and caused them problems like he did for the goal. He has to keep running those channels and stretching them, because once he gets one-on-one with these defenders, they don't look like they want to deal with him.
Good point there from Hogan Ephraim, the former QPR, West Ham and Toronto FC star, alongside me here on Premier. Newcastle counter-attack with a marauding run from John Joe Shelby, just like he likes to do. 1-2 with Wilson, and the O there from Hogan was his, that's a nasty tackle which I'll come to in a second, but Shelby, just at the opportunity of trying to free Almiron, overhit the pass, didn't he, after so much good work before?
Yeah, such a promising position. If he gives it to Almiron's feet there, it's real danger for West Brom, but Almiron's reaction on that, what he wanted as a free kick was shocking. He's gone down like he's in absolute agony. 2 seconds later, he's running without a limp. It was poor to see from him, that.
Yeah, a little bit of unprofessionalism, I'm afraid, from Almiron, who scored early in this game, of course, and has had his chances in the match as the ball from Furlong took a little ricochet. Intriguing one-on-one on the edge of the penalty area against Jamal Lewis, and by hook or by crook, the Northern Ireland international Lewis, the former Norwich man, came out on top, but it wasn't exactly convincing, was it?
No, he's gone for the double step over, and that's the last thing that you want to see Darnell Furlong doing. But it ricocheted nicely for Newcastle, and they've got away with it.
Poseidon Maximus, brilliant Twitter handle. He's listening to us in Port Harcourt in Nigeria, saying that these games, as good as they can be, they have their languid moments where things slow down. He's hoping that the Manchester derby lights things up after us and doesn't see United having won over City just, but we shall see. Yeah, he's right. You do get these sort of languid periods in the matches, don't you? And we kind of have had one a few moments ago.
Yeah, I think that's just with the lack of quality of the two teams. But once they get the ball into certain areas, they both have
opportunity there as Gallagher tried to slide it through to Austin. We've seen that combination 2 or 3 times in the second half, and that certainly wasn't languid.
No, it wasn't, but they both have teams that once the ball's in the box, they have the physicality to bully defenders and manoeuvre opportunities for themselves. But like you said, we go through periods of the game when they're playing in midfield and the quality's just not there.
Cross from Ritchie is another good one, and Ajayi had to get there quickly ahead of Joelinton on the left edge of the 6-yard box. Otherwise that could have been a flash header, possibly into the far corner of the net, but Ajayi did well. Semi Ajayi, still a young player despite his few seasons spent in the Championship and League One before this opportunity at the top level. I quite like the look of him.
Yeah, no, he's done well. He started the game a bit shaky when Callum Wilson ran him down the outside and put it through his legs, and I worried a little bit for him, but he's been comfortably West Brom's best defender today, and he's grown into the game. He's actually looked decent on the ball as well. There's been a couple that he's fizzed into the front man, and it's came off well for him.
Yeah, he and also young Dara O'Shea, two young players getting their opportunity, both of whom have looked all right and have looked good distribution-wise. I completely agree with you. Now, surging forward, what can West Bromwich Albion do here, I wonder? Here is Dara O'Shea, speaking of him, right-footed cross. Oh, just lacked a bit of conviction after a good run from the young Irishman. It's up to halfway where Sawyers and Callum Wilson go for the ball. And West Brom come off on top again, and they are starting to win a fair number of the 50-50s, actually, aren't they?
They are. They're first to all the second balls, and they're doing well. That ball's just going to be overhit.
Oh, looking for Gallagher, just overhit, as you rightly say, and Hayden is happy to shepherd it out for a goal kick. And you know what? It cues another substitution. It's from Newcastle this time, and Dwight Gale, who did so well on loan at West Brom from Newcastle, he's the man who comes on to play his former club. Very, very interesting.
Yeah, he's going to change the shape here, Steve Bruce, taking off Jamal Lewis for Dwight Gale, so maybe they'll put an extra man in midfield and play Wilson and Gale wide of Joelinton.
Does Richie then have to play left back, which to me is not his best position, to be polite?
Yeah, I'm guessing that's where he'll go. Jamal Lewis has actually struggled this second half.
He has, hasn't he?
Yeah, West Brom have had some joy, but I think he's a bit worried. They was getting outnumbered in midfield. Gallagher, Krovinovic, they're starting to take control of the game, and he'll want another body in there.
Oh, we're just looking at a replay, by the way. We've praised Ajay, but he does stand on Callum Wilson's ankle, and I know Callum has had ankle injuries along with various problems. The replay of that is actually very unpleasant.
Yeah, no, it should have definitely been a foul. And
that's two key moments that we've seen that have just gone without really being highlighted at the time by the officials.
Yeah, I didn't pick up on that during the game, to be fair, and then on the replay it does look a definite foul. I don't think it was anything VAR should get involved with concerning a red card, but it should definitely have been a free kick and a yellow card.
Yeah, it certainly was a stamp, and it wasn't particularly nice, as John Joe Shelby plays one of his lovely trademark cross-field balls to Emil Kraft, and we'll just work out whether or not Richie is playing now as the left back. I think he probably is, but still with that licence to roam forward. That's what he does now, and he finds Callum Wilson with a clever little cross. First touch for Gale, back to Wilson. He tried to pull the trigger, and it was Kieran Gibbs, I think, who came across and made the block, and it was very important that he did. Nice little offload from Dwight Gale on the field.
It was, and it was one of them ones which tempted Gibbs in, and if Wilson could just get that first touch...
Yeah, if he could have nicked it away...
Yeah, it would have been a penalty all over.
Yep, totally agree.
So Gibbs has done well just to stay in control of the situation there. It was a risky one.
Yeah, a couple of players who are former Arsenal youth players and Arsenal players on the field at the moment. Of course, Isaac Hayden came through in North London, didn't get much of a look in, but he's getting much more game time with Newcastle, and Kieran Gibbs got significantly more. Here they are reunited, going toe to toe, and yeah, looking forward to that Arsenal-Burnley game. I know it's been mentioned heavily on Twitter today. Doing that tomorrow night for Arsenal's in-house channel, so we'll see how that one goes.
Big game at the bottom of the table, that.
Yeah, I'm not allowed to say that. Right, 1-1, 70 minutes gone. Newcastle have the corner though from that exchange, which Richie takes again. It's another good delivery. Oh, it's headed off the line. Absolutely critical play there from West Brom. My goodness, a powerful header that was soaring past Johnson and looked for all the world as if it was going in. I think it was Gale's header, and it was possibly Matty Phillips who was there on the line making the block. Wow, that was so close to another Newcastle goal.
Yeah, Johnson's well beaten, but Matty Phillips does brilliantly because he's marking Callum Wilson, who's on the goalkeeper. He comes to the near post, and once the ball goes over his head, he just backtracks, sniffing that danger, thinking that there could be trouble here. And he's read it brilliantly, clear it off the line. I used to love that position when I was playing. You feel like a hero when you clear it off the line, and it's almost as good as scoring a goal.
Wow, really nice analysis from it there. It's a really interesting standpoint, and Matt Phillips did brilliantly. And otherwise, Dwight Gale would have scored against his former club moments after coming on. So that's 8 attempts for Newcastle in the game, 12 for West Brom. They've really changed that stat around. 20 shots over the course of the game, and we've still got, ladies and gentlemen, 19 minutes plus time added on to go, 1-1, and it really is nicely coming to the boil, particularly after these subs that have really brought the game to life. Now, Joelinton's gone down like a sack of spods and claimed a free kick under Furlong's stout challenge. The referee saw it and had absolutely none of it, and play goes on. Furlong, who of course got a lovely equaliser earlier in this half, did well and got the better of that exchange. Here's Emil Kraft, found by Longstaff, deflected cross Deflected shot as well from Gale. Ends up falling back to Gibbs and could have gone anywhere. Twice now that Dwight Gale has gone close.
Yeah, that's what Dwight Gale's got. He is a goal threat. He's always scored goals throughout his career. And once he's the one man in the Newcastle squad where if a half chance was falling, you'd want him on the end of it. I don't think he's as good a player as Callum Wilson, but when it comes to finishing, you'd want him in and around the box to hit the ball.
Yeah, certainly scored his goals coming through the ranks in the non-leagues and then at Peterborough, and of course was at Crystal Palace where things never quite fully worked out, and you could say the same at Newcastle. He scores lots of goals, but the perception is, I think, that he's a championship plus kind of player. He's almost too good for the championship, but maybe not quite frugal enough with his chances. He wastes too many maybe before he scores at Premier League level. I still really like him, but the stats seem to say that he takes too many opportunities to score his goals at the very top level. We'll come back to that in a second as Richie delivers from deep. It's another good cross. Oh, plenty of pressure being put on the West Brom defence again by Gale and by Wilson up there. I think it was young O'Shea who was fouled in the end by Wilson, stood his ground and wins the free kick. Yeah, where do you stand on that?
I think it's a fair point that you make, but I always prefer the strikers who get themselves opportunities.
Which he does.
Yeah, which he does. You see a lot of strikers go through games and they don't even get half a chance, and they'll blame it on the service, but sometimes you've got to make the runs or make the action for yourself. And I think what works against Dwight Gale as well, he's quite a small lad. He's not a big target man, and a lot of teams now, they play with the one up top, and that's definitely not for him. I think in the past era when there was two up front, the big man and the little man,
which is kind of what they're doing, funnily enough, in this game now, weirdly. But yes, I totally agree.
Yeah, I think that would suit him best.
But Callum Wilson and Dwight Gale are big man, little man at the moment. Could it work? I'd love it if it would, just for that description. It would make me very happy. As a man who grew up, of course, watching football in the 80s and 90s and so on, yeah, I absolutely still have a little bit of that. There have been so many little and large strike partnerships over the years that have worked, haven't there? It would be a nice little retro moment. We shall wait and see. Will Dickelson has tweeted in at TalkSport Live, listening from Atlanta, Georgia, saying, loving, guys, all the mentions of Atlanta United as Almiron's former club, especially with the rumours, he says, that Gabriel Heinze, the former Argentina and Man United defender, could be coming in as our next manager in MLS. Wow, you heard it here first. That would be a good story, wouldn't it?
It would be. Yeah, he obviously had a great career, played for some massive clubs. So yeah, he'd take great knowledge over there.
Opportunity for Austin from the cross from the left, and again it's Conor Gallagher looking for three. I might have said that before. Unfortunately though, he mishits that one and it fizzes over the bar. Gibbs' cross, Austin making a nuisance of himself on the edge of the 6-yard box. Again, those two half-time subs have really made a difference.
They have. They're putting pressure on Newcastle. They're forcing them back, and once again, not an easy chance, but someone of his technical quality, Conor Gallagher, he should be doing better than that. He's got to get over the ball, drop his left shoulder and keep it down, but he's just lent back way too much and the ball was always rising.
Newcastle with the ball deep inside their own half. We've played 75 minutes and it stays 1-1 Premier League Live. They switch the passage of play to the far side. Here is Matt Ritchie, who normally at left back seems to be getting forward as much, if not more than before when he was playing as a left winger. He goes in field to Jolinton, who is still on the field, like him or loathe him. Almiron, the scorer of the early opening goal of the game, left-footed. Bends it to the left-hand side to Shelvey, who puts in a dangerous cross, and Johnston came decisively. Strong one-fisted right-handed punch. That was excellent goalkeeping.
Yeah, he's done well. He's took pressure off the team there. Similar to how Darlow did in the first half. And defenders like to see that, just clearing the lines for him. There's nothing better when your goalie's commanding and commands his area, so fair play to him.
I think what he's done though is he's punched his own player in the head as he did it, and he's caught poor old Dara O'Shea, who's then thumped his head on the turf as he's landed as well. So the young Irishman has taken a double hit there, and he looks a bit groggy.
Yeah, he won't be too thankful that the goalkeeper decided to come and do that, but it was the right decision. It's what was needed at the time, and O'Shea will be fine. He'll get back on with the game.
Mr. Brew is listening, he says, and thinks that West Brom will take this now. He says the momentum in the game has changed so much. He sees the Baggies getting what would be a crucial win. Don XG is listening on a rainy day in Port Harcourt, loving the commentary and the edge to the end of this game, saying hopefully everybody can keep it up. And Don Ruler saying, great commentary, guys. I'm an Arsenal fan, but I'd love to see City beat United later. Any updates on the Ozil saga at the Emirates? Don, no, not as we understand it, no updates, but there were rumours in one or two of the papers rumours, weren't there, that the board are thinking about asking Arteta to apologise to Ozil and bring him back into the fold, and they are just reports, but that's where this added traction to this story has come from, isn't it?
Yeah, but I personally can't see them reports being true. If Ozil had another 2 or 3 years on his contract, then possibly, but to bring him back in January, for him to then leave on a free in 5 months' time after that, I don't really see it. I don't see Ozil, after not playing for so long, his last game was March the 7th, if I'm correct.
2014.
Yeah. His last good game.
Yeah. Yeah, he played in every game effectively until the COVID hiatus under Arteta. Yeah, has not started one since the COVID hiatus.
Yeah, so to play your last game being March the 7th, then come back in January, that's a long time, 10 months without any football. So I don't think he'd be straight up to the pace of the Premier League. Of course he would have been training and whatnot, but just naturally your desire in training would drop a little bit when you're not in the 25-man squad and know you can't make an appearance at the weekend.
78 gone here. Of course it is Arsenal-Burnley tomorrow night, massive game, but Newcastle-West Brom is our focus. Here come the Magpies, Newcastle on the far side, through Jolinton, another Matt Ritchie cross, chested down by Gale to Wilson, big man, little man, and here is Callum Wilson looking for yet another goal after his assist. Good delivery to Almiron, it cannons off Almiron, who's still going. Oh, fantastic shot, a good block from O'Shea, who picked himself up from the previous injury and has possibly hurt himself again as he put his body on the line. Then Miguel Almiron, again, great fleetness of foot, ghosts his way through and nearly gets a second.
Yeah, he looked dangerous there, Almiron, but I like what O'Shea done. He never dived in. He's standing up, moving his feet every 2 seconds, and that was perfect. He just always shimmying. He's in control of the situation, ready to block the shot when Almiron does decide to pull the trigger. So, fantastic defending there from O'Shea.
Yeah, I really like the look of Dara O'Shea. He's done very, very well. Now, Emil Kraft, who hasn't played for a good while, has come in and done a pretty stout job at right back. The Swedish international, he's now being sacrificed. And for the final few minutes, 11 of them of this game, Jacob Murphy comes onto the field, who has started a fair bit this season. We'll see what he can do. And we're about to see one more West Brom substitution as well, and Conor Gallagher will not get 3 in 3. I'm not going to mention it anymore. Off he goes, and on comes the Pole, Kamil Grzycki, and he will play the final 11 minutes. What do you make of those changes?
Disappointing to see Gallagher go off. I thought we had a good game, but he did use a lot of energy, so maybe he's starting to tire now, but he was having an influence on things. As for Newcastle, they've now got 2 practically wingers as fullbacks in Murphy and Ritchie, so they seem that they want to win.
Ball from the far side is floated over, and my goodness me, Newcastle was stretched there, and it was Murphy, but defensively you had to stretch and do very well to deny. Funnily enough, the other man who came on at exactly the same moment, Grzycki for the away team, had that been an inch or 2 higher, it would have been over Murphy's head, and Grzycki could have had a free shot at goal. He did just about enough to deny the pole.
I worried for Murphy now.
Yeah.
He got sucked under the ball, and
it's good job he's got slightly frizzy hair. That might have just been enough to do it. Anyway, at the other end, here come Newcastle. Callum Wilson does brilliantly initially running the channel. He beat 2 men, and he ended up passing it between 2 players, but then West Brom give it away. Ajay caught in 2 minds. Here's Shelving! Powerful shot, ricochets off a combination of Ajay and Ivanovic and out of play. It's a comedy of errors, but it nearly resulted in a goal.
Yeah, neither team wanted to keep the ball there, and Ajay nearly put Newcastle straight in on goal, so he's recovered well to get the block in. But Newcastle now starting to assert their authority once again. West Brom have been the better side in the second half, but now Newcastle are starting to get on top, and they'll just be hoping that Dwight Gale can find half a yard in the box.
Seems all to be in this game about who makes the subs and when. Oh, what a goal! And it's Dwight Gale against his former club. He gets his chance and he takes a bullet header into the top corner of the net, and Gale is the man who puts Newcastle back ahead in this topsy-turvy, thrilling game, and the COVID hit tune retake the lead. Newcastle 2, West Brom 1.
Oh, it's a brilliant cross, but the header's outrageous from Dwight Gale. Literally right on cue. We're just saying Newcastle are hoping he can find half a yard in the box, and that's why he's their biggest goal threat for me. It's a fantastic delivery, but that header, the goalkeeper's absolutely no chance. Right into the stanchion, off the crossbar. Beautiful stuff there from Dwight Gale.
So yeah, Jacob Murphy on seconds ago to Dwight Gale on a few minutes ago. I think the cross may have taken the tiniest slight deflections as it came in as well, which may have aided him, but the key point, as you say, was a sumptuous header from Dwight Gale, like a rocket, and the positioning off the underside of the bar, right by the scansion and the corner and in. That is proper good stuff from Dwight Gale. First of the season as well, and let's give him a shout out for that. He probably doesn't play as much as he should, and maybe his Newcastle career could have panned out very differently from the get-go with not much more luck.
Yeah, definitely. The header is so good. The goalkeeper's absolutely no chance, and the minute it comes off his head, you know that's going in. It was a fantastic header, but you have to credit Steve Bruce. He's made good changes. He's been positive in what he's done with the fullbacks. Murphy getting forward there, the delivery is just unbelievable. It evades the first man and is right in the area where strikers want to attack, and great goal for Newcastle. They were starting to get a foothold and be the better side in this game, so now they have to dig in.
So the drama continues and the story switches again, doesn't it, from a plucky West Brom comeback trying to save an under-fire manager. It goes back now to that pressure being remounted massively on Bilic, and we said we'd just go back into the details slightly more. Bilic understood to have fallen out with the club's transfer committee about signings. There were strong reports that he nearly walked out in the summer because of a lack of said signings when they came up for the Championship. He's been very vocal, hasn't he, about that situation, and hasn't exactly endeared himself to the club hierarchy. That makes his position a bit more tenuous. Cross, by the way, looking for Austin. Darlow punches, he's caught Austin. There was an offside flag anyway, and therefore he might, as we say, be sacked. And it's not just the results which are poor, is it? It's all of that backdrop and all of that needle and all of that frustration.
Yeah, I can understand this frustration. His hands have been tied behind his back, and I don't think the club have done anywhere near enough to help him have a chance of staying in the Premier League. And the board obviously won't take it well, and he will take the brunt of it. But the quality of the squad, just look at it. It's a Championship squad. It's not a Premier League squad.
And I always remember at West Ham, having done so well there for so long at his former club where he used to play, toward the end when it went wrong, when the dark days came, he's not frightened to show it, is it? And it's not that he's angry or necessarily that he's rude. He just looks kind of beaten and downcast and very philosophical, but in a bad way. And I'm starting to see a bit of those looks at times when we see the pictures of him on the bench on the big screen.
Yeah, definitely. He doesn't hide it well. Like, you can clearly see his frustrations, and fair play to him, because he's got West Brom back up, and all he would have wanted is a fighting chance. I know in the summer there was a few players on out of contract as a free agent, and he wanted to sign them, and they wouldn't go through with it, and that makes no sense to me, where you have to give him some sort of backing.
Yeah, I think it's a really, really good point. By the way, Charlie Austin has got a bloodied nose from that collision with Carl Darlow as he punched it clear. So the break in play here, you're missing nothing, is while Charlie Austin has his nose dabbed and sorted, and hopefully he'll be able to continue in a second. And now that Newcastle lead, I think they're going to try and shut up shop, because DeAndre Yedlin, the USA international, former Spurs man, he's going to be coming on for Miguel Almiron, who scored earlier on and even though he faded a bit, then came back strong the last few minutes. He's had a good game largely.
Yeah, he's done well. He took his goal very nicely. He's played some nice small passes. I worry for Charlie Austin here with his eye socket / cheekbone, because that's where he got caught, and then his nose is bleeding. There's a little bit of blood at his mouth, so he could be in a little bit of pain here. But I think Yedlin will go in at right back. They'll push Murphy on one to right wing, and they want to be a little bit more solid now.
My KL has got a big bet on Newcastle to win this game, so he says report Highcore in Nigeria will be smiling all the way to the bank if Newcastle hold on. And Omar Leistan says, I've got Callum Wilson in my fantasy team. Got an assist, to be fair, Omar. He says, I can't believe he hasn't scored among Newcastle's goal scorers. Oh well, what can you do? He's still a fantastic contributor to this team, this collective, no question. Charlie Austin is carrying on, and hopefully he's okay, because another thing about Charlie, he's hard as nails, isn't he? I've chatted to him a couple of times in the studio when he's come in to talk sport as an analyst, and he's a big guy and he's a tough guy.
Yeah, he's one of those old school players. He won't come off the pitch unless he's in serious trouble. No knocks keeping him out of a game, nothing like that. So he's someone that you'd want on your team and someone you'd want to go into the trenches with.
Patrick Victor's enjoying every minute, he says, of our commentary as this game winds toward its conclusion. Thank you very much indeed to that. He's also predicting a Man U 2, Man City 1 derby. That's from Port Harcourt in Nigeria, and that of course is up next, and it should be an absolutely fantastic game. Can't wait for it. And my 3 subs, by the way, saying VAR seemed not to be watching this game, mentioning, of course, those two things that were missed that we mentioned were both quite brutal and possibly well worth a rewatch. That's from Tim in the beautiful city of Memphis, Tennessee. Such naughtiness in the game, I can't believe VAR hasn't picked up on more. And yeah, not a bad point at all. Another yellow card, by the way. Is that Ivanovic who steamed in there? Yeah. It was. That's been brewing, hasn't it?
Yeah, it was great centre forward play from Callum Wilson. He's had Ivanovic on toast the whole game. He just didn't.
Good phrase. Yeah, I've heard that one for ages. I like that one. That was like a schoolyard cuss that we used to have in our school.
He just didn't need to react, Callum Wilson. His team's 2-1 up. There's a few minutes to go. Ivanovic is clearly wanting to start some trouble there. He's probably been bossed around the whole game and just thought he wanted to get a bit back on Callum Wilson. So Dwight Gale done the right thing and just taking him away and letting the situation ease out.
Amy, by the way, quite enjoying our call of the COVID hit team retake the lead. It's Newcastle 2, West Brom 1. Lovely commentary. There you go, Amy. Credit to Newcastle, and you, my friend, are spot on. 87 gone. Newcastle 2, West Brom 1. Newcastle, unsurprisingly, take an age to A, take the free kick, and then B, kick it straight back to their goalkeeper. They've earned the right to kill a few seconds now, haven't they?
Yeah, they're very close to getting the job done, and this will be a big 3 points. They had confidence off the back of that win at Crystal Palace. They would have been disappointed that the game of Aston Villa was called off, so this would be a huge win, and Steve Bruce would be delighted if they could get the 3 points.
Dwight Gale, it looks like he might well have scored the winner. We will wait and see. Picked the ball up about 40 yards out there, and rather than going forward, just went laterally and then back. I think those are definitely the instructions of Steve Bruce. Just take it easy now and try and run this one down. Newcastle, as we said, a little bit hit and miss this season, but largely a decent campaign, and that's despite everything that's gone on the last 2 weeks with COVID. They are 13th. They would go 11th in the table with a win. Jonjo Shelvey putting Kravinovic under all sorts of pressure as well, and Jonjo is still full of running, isn't he, today?
Yeah, I would have not have wanted to be in that position that Kravinovic found himself in. Jonjo Shelvey breathing down his neck. Kravinovic was off balance, and it looked like it could be trouble.
Excellent flick on from Charlie Austin to Branislav Ivanovic, and Ivanovic just wondering whether his run toward goal to try and get to that ball was impeded by DeAndre Yedlin. He plaintively asked for a look from VAR, and Bilic is saying the same to the fourth official. Should we take a look at this? But again, I don't think that's going to happen. It isn't, because play goes on. Was the legs there, or was that the desperate plea of a desperate man and a struggling team?
Yeah, I think the latter was spot on, but he stayed up front now, Ivanovic. I think they're going to try and hit him more often. They probably have to do it. There's time running out. There's half a minute left plus stoppage time, so they have to try and do something, because they deserve at least a point from this game in my eyes.
Head to head, by the way, Newcastle have only won one of their last 5 league meetings, but they did beat the Baggies 3-2 in the FA Cup at the Hawthorns in March. So it's not been a happy hunting ground at home to West Brom. That could all be about to change. Should add, by the way, one thing I forgot to mention with Furlong's goal earlier is it was West Brom's 200th ever against Newcastle, so fair play to him for that little landmark, but I think that's all it's going to be as things stand. Ball poked over the top, looking for the new auxiliary striker Ivanovic, and we've said that he's not blessed with pace. He never really was, but at 36 he's never going to get onto that, is he?
Do you know what, I've seen a lot in football, but I didn't think I'd ever see Ivanovic trying to run in behind 2 centre-halves.
Normally they're trying to do it to him.
Yeah, so he was never going to get on the end of that, but it's got to a desperate time now. But there's still 6 minutes in this game, or added on, so 5.5 left, so West Brom have to keep going. They can't give up. Their managers are under big pressure, and he needs them to fight until the final whistle.
Yeah, with Dara O'Shea smacking the face from his own keeper, and then Charlie Austin's blooded nose, we do have 6 additional minutes here on Premier League Live. Newcastle 2, West Brom 1. Just to reiterate, if West Brom lose this, strong reports that Slaven Bilic will be sacked. So we'll watch that with great interest. And for Newcastle, after all the issues and problems, no game last week, huge chunks of the squad going down with COVID, some still with it, clearly not those playing today, but some who have had it over that period and are now clear. This is a mighty effort.
Yeah, now this would be a big 3 points. I know people might think home to West Brom, Newcastle should be winning, but with what's gone on at the club the last couple of weeks, it would be a huge 3 points, and it'll take them to 17 points after 11 games, which I think is good going for Newcastle.
Kieran Gibbs, though, is trying to engineer an equaliser once more for the away side, pointing to his teammates where he wants them. He goes to Romain Sawyers, now to the far side to Matt Phillips, who's played left wing, right wing, centre forward, the lot in this game. To Furlong, deflected cross. It's behind for a corner. Another opportunity for West Brom, and Kieran Clark again did well to make the block at least.
Yeah, he's done well today, Kieran Clark. He's probably been the player on the pitch who's impressed me the most. He's been very composed. Yeah, there's been times where West Brom haven't been fluent going forward, but whenever he's had to deal with anything, he's done so very well.
Corner swung in from the new man Grzycki, who's taken corner duties over on frustration for West Brom. As I think Ritchie goes down under pressure, Newcastle get the free kick and they celebrate it almost like a goal.
Yeah, it's poor that for Matty Phillips. He's trying to block him off to give Grzycki an extra second on the ball, but Matt Ritchie was never going to get there. You've just let him off the hook, and now Newcastle can just relieve the pressure, get everybody up the field and just kick it long, which West Brom don't need at this stage of the game.
92.5 minutes gone. Newcastle 2, West Bromwich Albion 0. In terms of what comes up next, Newcastle travel to Leeds on Wednesday. That's always a match that's steeped in tradition from a few years ago, and both were near the top of the Premier League. Fulham at home, and then Brentford away in the quarter-finals of the EFL Cup. Man City away on Boxing Day, and Liverpool at home on December the 30th will round off their last 4 or 5 games of the year. A couple of winnable ones, and then crikey, City-Liverpool back-to-back. Charming.
It's not getting much easier, so they're going to have to pick up the points.
Well, Leeds away, Fulham home. Feasible, isn't it?
Leeds away, I think it's still a tough game.
Oh yeah.
Fulham will be a massive one. They're obviously down there as well, so you need to pick up the points against them. But I think time's not looking good for West Brom. Newcastle, on the other hand, they can relax a little bit more, but if they can get another 1 or 2 wins over Christmas, then it'll be a fantastic first half of the season for them.
Yep, completely agree with that. In terms of the rest of West Brom's games coming up, Man City away on Tuesday, so if they do lose this, with questions about the boss, in a handful of days it's a trip to the Etihad, my goodness. Then it's Villa at home next Sunday in a big West Midlands derby, because West Brom is not far from Birmingham at all. It's almost a Birmingham derby. And then you've got Liverpool away and Leeds at home, so West Brom, that is a tough old run as well.
Very tough run, and I don't like to see any manager lose their job, and I don't think Bilic should be in a position where his job's under immediate threat with the backing he's had, but he will be. That's just the nature of the game. And you're thinking, this game in isolation, no way is it a reason to get rid of the manager or change the manager, but you just see these teams sometimes, and going away to Man City next, they might just get rid of Bilic now and have a free hit at Man City away, and then have a manager in place for the next game.
We shall wait and see. 11 games played, 1 win, 3 draws, 7 defeats and a -15 goal difference. Newcastle looking to add insult to injury with a third. We've got about 90 seconds of the additional 6 minutes, and again Newcastle having just run across the edge of the penalty area, no reason to really risk giving the ball away, and they go all the way back to Isaac Hayden, who's played pretty well, I'd say, as a makeshift centre-half today. It's not the first time he's done it, but he's done all right.
Yeah, no, he's done well. He's done well. The rest of them definitely gave Callum Wilson, well, he is going to give him a yellow card now for kicking the ball away, but the kick out on Romain Sawyers was a yellow card in itself.
Petulant.
Yeah, he wants a penalty from a minute earlier, Callum Wilson, when he was running across the box, but it doesn't seem that it's getting looked into.
VAR again, as Tim from Tennessee said, it's having a day off. It looked, didn't it, at the goal, and thank goodness still gave it 20 seconds in, and apart from that I don't think it's come into play at all. Anyway, long free kick from very deep, West Brom with a bit of a Hail Mary. It's half-headed clear. There's a clash of heads. We'll stop for that clash of heads. Callum Wilson is one of the players who's gone down. The other, I think, might well be O'Shea, who's been properly in the wars. The youngster who's really put his body on the line today, and we'll have a bit of extra injury time while these two are looked at. So O'Shea's third injury of the second half, isn't it?
Yeah, he's been in the wars today, O'Shea. He's actually done very well, though.
Oh, great. For a youngster who's not really played much in the Premier League, I think he's done really well.
Yeah, he has done really well. On the ball, he's looked good, but defensively especially, he moves his feet really well, and I like to see that from centre-halves. A lot of times you see centre-halves get exposed 1v1 and they're flat-footed, but he shuffles across nicely, and he's gave a good account of himself.
And as you said, I can't remember who was running across him. I think it was Almiron, and he knew not to commit on the edge of the 6-yard box and just shepherded the man wide and didn't succumb to the pressure of trying to make a challenge.